Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Naruto. My Clone Can Evolve. Chapter 61. Bamboo's body suddenly swayed like a willow leaf. It seemed to be relaxed, but it rode towards Zanu at an extremely fast speed. The bone blades protruding from both hands hit Zanu's neck. Zanu's face moved slightly. The dance of Lu Ziwu performed by Zhu Tosong has the essence of taking off power. The speed was so fast that it was almost impossible for him to capture it without turning on his Sharingan vision. But Zanu didn't change her expression, took a step back, and directly shook the bone blade away with her arms. Ding ding. There were two crisp sounds of metal clashing, and Takatori Song's expression changed and he took 2 steps back. Why is this boy's arms so strong? I saw Zanu's spread arms, and a stream of pure blue steam was coming out at this moment. This steam gradually spread to Zanu's body, and huge chakra swept in, even the ground shook a little. First door. Open the door. Zanu snorted softly, her brain restrictions were lifted and her body entered overload mode. Then, Shu, Shang, Du, Jing, and Jing were quickly opened. Sweat begins to evaporate rapidly, turning into blue vapor. What is this? Takatori Song frowned, looking at Zanu's unusual state. An instinctive fear gradually swept through his heart. But this fear was crushed by him in an instant. With his eyes blood red, he overcame the fear with murderous intent. Countless bone spurs grow in rows on Takatori Pine's body. Dance of Karamatsu. I saw Takatori Song spinning like a hedgehog, turning into a sharp tornado and attacking Zanu. Zanu sneered and instantly kicked forward. An explosion like a gunshot was heard, and the terrifying force of this kick directly burned the air. The high-pressure air bomb hit the sudden Takatori Matsu head-on. Boom. When the smoke cleared, Takatori Song knelt on the ground, with all the bones in his body in pieces. It's just that you can create high-pressure air bombs just by using physical skills. Takatori was confused. He had never heard that this kind of thing could be called taijutsu. Even more terrifying than ordinary wind escape and fire escape. Gritting his teeth tightly, Takatori Matsu thrust his hands into the ground. In the blink of an eye, rows of huge bone spurs appeared under Zanu's feet. Early fern dance. Takatori Pine began to import bone cells into the earth, and then created infinite huge bone spurs. I'm going to destroy this place. I'll leave you with nowhere to hide. Countless bone spurs pierced the ground one by one, so dense that no one could stand on the ground. Zanu stepped heavily on the ground, and her figure blurred and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already leaping in midair. When Takatori Song saw this, he couldn't help showing his ecstasy. He directly controlled all the bone cells in his body and turned them into thousands of sharp blades to stab in Zanu's direction. Ha ha ha, you have no way to hide, you will definitely jump into the air. You can't adjust your direction in the air. My early fern dance will definitely hit you. You are too naive, Chenying Xuanyu, air combat is my domain. Countless bone blades were about to pierce the slowly falling Zanu. But Zanu sneered, stepped on the air with one foot, and her body strangely flew higher into the sky. What? You actually jumped up through the air, how is that possible? Takatori Matsu opened his mouth in disbelief. Is it possible for a person to perform such an action? Can a person jump up by stepping on the air? But Xuanyu told Takatori Song with practical actions, yes. If you reach the ultimate speed and strength, you can. I'm sorry to tell you that the air is actually my domain. Zanu was seen jumping around easily on the air, even faster than on the ground. Not to mention Takatori Matsu's bone spurs, even if a machine gun came over, it would not be able to hit Zanu now. It's time to end, Takatori Matsu. Your dance is over. Let you see what real physical skills are. Boiling blue steam condensed on Zanu's right fist. Just hear a roar. A high-pressure air cannon formed in Xuanyu fist and turned into a white tiger. Hiratora. The white steam tiger instantly pressed to the ground. Wherever it touched, it was directly turned into powder by the crushing power. When the steam dissipated, Takatori Pine still retained his complete human form. But there is nothing good about him anymore. Takatori Matsu didn't even say a word before he died of anger. Zanu quickly eliminated the 7-door state and briefly recovered her physical strength. With Chaoyang's strength, opening 7 doors is nothing, but his body is a little tired and aching. Then, Zanu shouted outside the cave. Kakuzu, come in and collect your heart. After a while, Kakuzu sneaked in quietly. Lord Xuanyu, I saw it outside, it's so strong. Can you teach me these 8 types of Dunjia? Zanu said angrily. You have 5 lives, I taught you, how can you pay back? When Kakuzu heard this, he wanted to learn even more. Zanu smiled and said, do you think you can't die if you have 5 hearts with 8 doors open? The 8 gates of death will damage your whole body, no matter how many hearts you have, it will be useless. Besides, your body, which has lived for hundreds of years, has probably passed its shelf life long ago, and you won't be able to practice this kind of boyish skill. After saying this, Kakuzu could only shake his head in frustration. Baman Dunjia is really not something you can just learn if you want to. Otherwise, if Konoha trains 100 suicide squads who have learned 8 disciplines, how can Madara 6 paths dare to rebel? The heart of the Zutori clan is given to you. With your resentment, you should be able to obtain some of his abilities. Zanu said. As soon as Kakuzu heard this, he immediately absorbed Takatori Matsu's heart with his earthly resentment. After a long time, he said in surprise, Lord Xuanyu, I have now gained the ability to control bones. Zanu knew that Kakuzu might not be able to use the blood succession limit as well as Takatori Matsu. But it's much better than bringing a few useless hearts. After finally harvesting the strong man's heart, Kakuzu was also very happy. Xuanyu-sama, what should I do with Hidan? Hidan's body and head were now separated, and he himself had passed out. As long as he doesn't put his head back on, Hidan won't be able to cause trouble. Take it back, I have something to ask him. Zanu said. The two of them carried Hidan back to the waterfall's base overnight. Hidan was placed on a large bed, keeping a slight distance between his head and body. After a while, Hidan's wound cut by Zanu slowly healed. At this time, he also opened his eyes in a coma. Where is this? Hidan asked in horror. A masked figure appeared. I'm a crazy doctor. Your body is very interesting. I'm going to give you a full body anatomy. Take out all your organs and see if you die or if your internal organs become a mess. Beads of sweat appeared on Hidan's forehead, and he hurriedly said, Are you sick? Let me go. Kakuzu took off his mask, turned around and said, Zanu-sama, Hidan is awake. At this time, Zanu's long voice floated into Hidan's ears, Hidan. Your fate depends on your next performance. Hidan's face was filled with disdain, and he acted like he was not afraid of anything. You can't kill me, no one in this world can kill me. Even though his head and body were separated, Hidan still didn't think he was going to die. Zanu walked towards Hidan with a smile and unfolded the transparent barrier of Chenyu in her hand. Do you know what this is? Hidan's eyes were confused, but he vaguely felt that this transparent cube was very dangerous. Zanu waved her hand, and the cube spread into the wall. Just hearing a roar, the thick stone wall was neatly annihilated, and the missing parts were turned into ashes. The original realm peeling technique can break down matter into particles smaller than atoms. Do you think you can still survive by then? Facing this terrible threat, Hidan felt scared for the first time ever. He was afraid that he would just disappear, trapped in this terrifying dust. What do you want? Hidan calmed down and asked in a low voice. Let me ask you the first thing. Did you kill these 2 people? Zanu thought for a while and told Hidan the names of Lily's parents. Hearing these 2 names, Hidan thought for a while and finally shook his head. I don't remember. I can't count the number of people I killed. Then I have to blame it on you. Zanu said, to tell you the truth, those 2 people are my friend's parents. Hidan was stunned for a moment and became nervous. So, you are here to seek revenge? Kakuzu said coldly. Boss, just kill him. This kind of harm can't be tolerated. Zanu shook her head gently, signaling Jiaodu to calm down for a moment. Then he turned to Hidan and said, Originally, I should have killed you directly, but if you are willing to join the Moon Organization, I might consider sparing you. At this time, Hidan had joined the Akatsuki Organization. Because the Akatsuki Organization conforms to his concept of killing everything, but the U Organization may not. Can I kill people at will? Hidan asked. Zanu smiled and shook her head. Then, why should I join your organization? I admire death and hate hypocritical peace. Hidan said angrily. But Zanyu's next words left Hidan completely unable to refute. Hidan, you can only kill if you are alive, you cannot kill if you are dead. Hidan choked on these words and was speechless for a long time. In the end, Hidan could only nod. I'm willing to join. As long as you don't use the Chendon to mess with me, you can do whatever you want. Kakuzu quietly said to Zanyu. Boss, this guy's technique is very dangerous, don't be careless. Of course Zanyu knew how scary Hidan was. As long as a little bit of blood is obtained by him, no matter how strong he is, he will kill him. Therefore, he wanted to provide Hidan with an insurance policy. Come, look into my eyes. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, activate. Other gods. Light. Hidan couldn't help but stare at those crimson eyes, and his consciousness was suddenly pulled into an inexplicable white space. Here, his consciousness was quietly rewritten by Zanyu. After a long time, he opened his eyes. Just now, Zanyu buried the other god's technique in Hidan's mind. Once Hidan has evil intentions towards him, he will fall under the spell of another god and turn into a guy who hates killing. Hidan, if you dare to betray me, what you just saw will become reality. Zanyu sneered. Hidan could see clearly in the illusion space of other gods. He also knows how terrifying the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is. So Hidan nodded quickly and said, I will follow you from now on, but please don't give me any tasks that are too boring. Zanyu smiled with satisfaction. Although doing this would not avenge Ms. Lily, it would be a pity to kill Hidan. What's more, there are still some doubts as to whether the ninja couple were killed by Hidan. Very good, Hidan. From now on, you will partner with Kakuzu. After hearing this, Kakuzu's expression changed. Lord Zanyu, why did you leave this troublesome guy to me? Please forgive me for refusing. I don't want to be with such a lunatic. Hidan also got angry after hearing this, and said angrily, disgusting fool, I'm just obeying Zanyu-sama's arrangements. Who are you? At this time, Zanyu's cold eyes made both of them quiet down. We are all from the same organization, don't quarrel in front of me. Seeing the two of them shut up, Zanyu patted Kakuzu on the shoulder. Kakuzu, there's a reason why I gave him to you. I know that your character has always been calm and conservative, which complements his arrogant and fearless temperament. Besides, with Takatori Matsu's corpse bone vein ability, you can just suppress him. Seeing Zanyu praising him so much, Kakuzu reluctantly nodded. Listen, I only agreed to save face for Lord Zanyu. From now on, please be more honest with me. Hidan snorted, his face full of disdain. Zanyu quietly said to Hidan again, that guy has 5 hearts. He is the only one I can safely stay by your side. But don't go too far when you are fighting. If anyone gets killed, I will definitely kill the other one without hesitation. The two nodded. Then, Zanyu ordered Kakuzu to assemble Hidan's body. Stay in the base for the time being. I will notify you of any missions. After saying that, Zanyu disappeared instantly. He drew the Flying Thunder God's formation in the hotel, so he returned to the room in an instant. It happened that Kuretsuchi and Chiano had just finished taking a bath and walked in with only a towel around them. Suddenly seeing a living person appear in the room, the two women were naturally frightened. But this time, he was a little more restrained and didn't throw the pillow at him. You always seem to be wearing very little. Zanyu glanced at them and showed a playful smile. Kuretsuchi and Chiano's cheeks turned red and they fled back to the room with resentful expressions on their faces. Although Kuretsuchi is only 15 or 16 years old, his figure has already been revealed. It didn't make Zanyu unable to control it, but it also made him a little restless. Closing her eyes and temporarily filtering out the distracting thoughts in her mind, Zanyu entered the system panel. In the Prestige Mall, a hidden product attracted his attention. Open black lens bracket. The reputation points of the Void Stone are 100,000 points. Close black lens bracket. What is this Stone of Nothingness? Zanyu thought for a while, but could not find the origin of the Stone of Nothingness in the memory of the original work. However, it is different from other expensive artifacts. The Void Stone does not look like a piece of equipment, but has a special function. There are just over 100,000 reputation points left, so buy it. Zanyu didn't hesitate and bought the Stone of Nothingness directly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully purchasing and unlocking the Realm of Nothingness. A realm of nothingness. Zanu has never heard of this term, but it is vaguely familiar. Are you entering the realm of nothingness? The system suddenly asked. It turns out that the realm of nothingness is a certain space. Enter, Zanu said softly. With a swish sound, the huge figure disappeared directly into the room. Chiano and Kuritsuchi changed their clothes and came out, their faces full of confusion. Where did you go again? The other side. Zanu only felt dizzy for a while, but it didn't take long for him to regain consciousness. In front of him was a pitch-black alien space. Zanu stood on a platform, with flowing stars in all directions. What is this place? Zanu moved her limbs and found that there was no problem with the flow of chakra, so she felt relieved. On the dark sky above the head, there is a Roman numeral, 1, written on it. The realm of nothingness, the first level is opened. Number of virtual spirits, 99. Difficulty, beginner. The system's prompt sound came, and before Zanu had time to think about its meaning, an ominous atmosphere came from all around. Dark shadows suddenly appeared one after another, surrounding Zanu. No more, no less, exactly 99 shadows. Is this the virtual spirit? Zanu secretly asked. That means I want to kill you. Sure enough, Shuling has no intention of getting along well with each other. After letting out an unbearable howl, he rushed towards Zanu. Fire clone. Fire escape. Fire is extinguished. Countless flame clones appeared, and at the same time they used the strongest fire escape. The powerful fire was extinguished. The raging flames shot out in 8 directions, directly engulfing all the virtual spirits. Just after Zanu had dealt with the virtual spirit, more figures jumped out of the smoke. Can't he be killed? Zanu was stunned. How could the S-level fire escape ninjutsu like Houhuo-Mi not be able to kill these monsters? Seeing that the virtual spirit was about to attack, Zanu jumped up and left the ground. Since ordinary escape techniques don't work, then Chen escape. The art of peeling off the original world. Countless transparent cubes exploded in the dark space, covering all the virtual spirits. The virtual spirit is directly broken down into atomic particles. But soon, Zanu's face darkened. Because those atomic particles miraculously reunited and once again condensed into a dark ethereal spirit. Even dust escape doesn't work. Zanu frowned, thinking about her remaining methods. From this point of view, I am afraid that it is difficult for water escape and explosion escape to cause damage. The fusion escape techniques, boiling release and melting release, are not even as powerful as dust release, let alone trying them. Then only the Sharingan is left. Amaterasu. The ominous fire ignited, and all the ethereal spirits were involved. The virtual spirits slowly emitted green smoke under the burning of black fire, and finally disappeared completely. Ding! The challenge on the first level of the realm of nothingness was successful. Enter the second level of the realm of nothingness. Number of virtual spirits, 999. Difficulty, beginner. The shadows of 999 virtual spirits appeared again, and Zanu's eye power still needed a short period of recovery. What's going on? Zanu gritted her teeth and used a large area of Amaterasu again. Although the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan will not cause damage to the eyeball itself, it does have physical limitations after all. Soon, Zanu's chakra bottomed out before the virtual spirits were completely eliminated. Disappearance of host chakra detected. To prevent the death of the host, it is automatically teleported out of the realm of nothingness. Challenge failed. A dazzling white light flashed by, and Zanu opened her eyes again. He lay soaked in the hot spring in the backyard of the hotel, looking at his hands with a puzzled look on his face. The aftereffects of the massive consumption of pupil power are still there, indicating that what just happened was not an illusion. System, what's going on? Zanu asked. The system responded with the following. The realm of nothingness is a space of endless challenges. Ordinary chakra cannot cause harm to ethereal spirits. The host has successfully passed through the first level and unlocked the dark chakra. Current dark chakra level, elementary. Zanu was stunned. Dark chakra. I remember that in the original work, there was only a few words about dark chakra. Dark chakra is a kind of energy born from the dark side of the human heart. It is different from the six-path chakra of Otsutsuki Keigaya's lineage and the Senjutsu chakra that absorbs the nature of heaven and earth. Dark chakra can be added to all ninjutsu of the host. Dark chakra can absorb the energy it touches. The host currently controls energy. Human chakra, super shadow level, dark chakra, elementary level. Zanu felt it, and sure enough, there were two kinds of energy surrounding the meridian system in the body. The richer one is the chakra of his human body. Next to it, there was a small wisp of dark chakra flowing slowly. It looks like dark chakra will be very powerful if it grows up. Zanu opened her palms, and the Rasengan was condensed in her hands. Then, he slowly merged a trace of dark chakra into the Rasengan. The Rasengan actually gave off an ominous aura, with traces of black energy escaping. At the same time, the wind pressure more than doubled. What happened? Haitu rushed out and saw Zanu condensing a black ball. Is that the Rasengan? Kuretsuchi had seen Zanu use the Rasengan, but she felt strange like this today. Kuretsuchi, use your strongest ninjutsu to attack. Zanu said lightly, don't hesitate. Kuretsuchi was startled and immediately began to form seals. Earth escape. Earth dragon spear technique. The sharp earth spear instantly cut through the air and stabbed Zanu. The spiral pill in Zanu's hand shot out instantly, directly smashing the soil gun into pieces. However, dark chakra came into play at this time. A wisp of black energy followed the gun and directly began to absorb the chakra of Kuretsuchi himself. Aha! Kuretsuchi groaned and slumped to the ground. Zanu immediately felt that her chakra had been replenished. It turns out that dark chakra can extract chakra from the opponent directly through the confrontation of ninjutsu. This is definitely a terrifying magical skill. You must know that even Kisami's Samahata muscles cannot extract chakra from such a long distance, and there are also restrictions on its use. However, his own dark chakra can be integrated into any ninjutsu. Just when he was happy, he realized that Kuretsuchi had bottomed out his chakra and collapsed on the ground. Are you okay? Zanu quickly picked up Kutu and put her on the bed. What happened just now? Kuretsuchi slowly opened his eyes, feeling a strong sense of weightlessness. Now she looks like she has a concussion. It seems that the power of this dark chakra is still extraordinary. I'm sorry, I was negligent for a moment. Zanu rubbed Kuretsuchi's head and said with some distress. Has the chakra bottomed out? Chiano's blood dragon eye has been opened, let me help her replenish some. Sorry to trouble you. Zanu smiled. With dark chakra, Zanu can be invincible no matter who she faces. If this dark chakra grows to an advanced level, you don't know how powerful it will be. The next day, the things in Unokuni are finally done, and the hot spring trip is about to end. Before leaving, Zanu gave Kakuzu and Hidan an important mission. You have to hunt down the tailed beast Jinchuriki for me. Zanu said calmly. Ah, isn't that the same as when I was in the Akatsuki organization? Hidan said doubtfully. Kakuzu also said, Lord Genjutsu, why are we hunting down the tailed beast Jinchuriki? Zanu said helplessly, Uchiha Madara from the Akatsuki organization has come to see me and is targeting me. But with my strength, they shouldn't dare to take action for the moment. I'm afraid they will challenge me again after gathering more power from the tailed beasts. So, you have to get ahead of them, find those tailed beast Jinchuriki, and bring them to me. Hidan Kaku nodded, feeling warm. Lord Zanu is indeed wise. Why didn't my stupid mind think of this? Zanu summarized the tailed beast Jinchuriki of each village. Ikibi Shukaku is currently in Sand Ninja Village. Urwei traveled again and is currently in Union Village. The three-tailed Isofu, the Jinchuriki Yagura, is under his command. The four-tailed Sun Wukong and the five-tailed King Mu are also under the control of Yenian Village. The six-tailed rhinoceros and the seven-tailed rhinoceros are in Kurigakure and Takigakure villages respectively. The eight-tailed Jinchuriki, Rabbi Kiri, is in Hidden Cloud Village, and the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto, is in Konoha. Ignore the eight tails and nine tails. That's not something you can mess with. The second-tailed Mata Brigade is a suitable opponent for you. Find the second-tailed Yukito as soon as possible and bring her to see me. Remember, don't use force if you can solve it with words. Also, be sure not to hurt the Jinchuriki's life. Zanu ordered. Kakuzu and Hidan nodded, looking excited. Follow your orders and make sure to complete the mission. 3 days later, Zanu bid farewell to Kuretsuchi and returned to Tanyan Village. Because there is no need to guard against the invasion of Iwagakure village and Snow Country, there is no need for the Ghost Lantern brothers to stay here. Brother Zanu, are you finally going to give me a mission? Shui Yu said excitedly. If anything happens, I will definitely help you. Gui Dang Man Yu said seriously. Since Zanu saved the two brothers from the ice last time, Man Yu has completely fallen in love with Zanu. Zanu smiled faintly and said, you two partners, go hunt down the Jinchuriki for me. Jinchuriki, really? Those are all monsters. Suigetsu hesitated. As long as you formulate a suitable strategy, it is possible to defeat the Jinchuriki. Hito Mangetsu said. Zanu nodded approvingly. Currently, 6 of the 7 ninja swords are in your hands. Perhaps you can form a new 7 ninja swordsmen, and it won't be too late to do these things. After listening to Zanu's suggestion, Gui Dang Man Yu nodded deeply. Lord Zanu, although I am proficient in 7 ninja tools, in the end, Hurameki Solitaire is the most comfortable in using them in battle. If I can find people suitable for the 7, I'll be happy to train them. Zanu thought for a while and said, then naturally we have to go to Wayan village to find him. After all, that is Dao's hometown. You just go to Kurigakure village and say hello to Maid Terumi for me. All expenses will be borne by the organization. Except for Kisami's Samakar, your Hurameki, and Suigetsu's decapitating sword, there are 3 swords left. We must find 3 suitable ones for them. Shueyu and Manu took the order and set off confidently. Speaking of which, Konoha's Chunin exams are about to begin. Zanu smiled, already having a plan in mind. About a week later, Konoha officially announced its decision to hold a joint Chunin exam for the ninja world. All genin in the ninja village can participate in this exam. Those who are recognized will be able to obtain the Chunin Protector personally awarded by the 3rd Hokage, full of honors. At this moment, Konoha Hokage's room. Sarutobi Hiruzen was slowly sitting on the chair, reviewing the information on the ninjas participating in the Chunin examination. All members of Class 7 are also participating. It seems you are very confident, Kakashi. Sarutobi smiled. Kakashi nodded and said, they have enough experience. On the other side, Kurenai Yuhi, Asuma Sarutobi, and Kai also looked very confident and signed up for the exam for their students. Will the recently established Sound Ninja Village also participate in the competition? The 3rd Hokage smiled. There are also Iwagakure Village, Sunagakure Village, Kurigakure Village, and there are many ninjas from small villages. But when he was looking through the review list, a registration form from Iwagakure Village surprised the 3rd Hokage. What? Zanu. On the registration form, Chenying Xuanyu's face was clearly listed, but his surname was not mentioned in the name. Kakashi was shocked and grabbed the registration form, his eyes trembling. This is indeed Zanu. Kakashi wondered, why does he want to take the Chunin exam? That guy will already be at the cage level. If he shows his true skills, the students may suffer heavy casualties. The 3rd Hokage said solemnly, we must contact him as soon as possible to prevent him from causing a catastrophe. At this time, Asuma interrupted. Old man, I say that, but I remember that today is the day when students arrive in Konoha village, right? The expressions of everyone present froze. Asma means that Zanu has arrived. Right in Konoha. Kakashi put down the watch in his hand and said, I'm going to see him. Finally, I have some friendship with him. According to regulations, Konoha has no right to refuse Zanu's participation. Because Zanu had her information entered into Iwagakure village through Onoki. And he is indeed a genin. At this moment, at the entrance of Konoha village, a large number of students arrived at Konoha Ninja village today. Different forehead protectors walking on the street also attracted a lot of curious eyes. Zanu, on the other hand, hid among the crowd with a relaxed expression. Next to them were the 2 partners Kuritsuchi and Chino, while Steam Ninja Han followed as their leading teacher. You are all so powerful, why do you still need to take the Chunin exam? Kuritsuchi couldn't help but ask. Among the people present, Zanu is considered to be at the Super Shadow level. Chino possesses 3 blood dragon eyes at the kaleidoscope level, but is lacking in other aspects and can barely be considered a ninja. And there is only one true genin, Kuritsuchi. Han, why don't you refuse? Kuritsuchi complained. Han coughed twice and said, I'm just following Lord Tsuchikage's orders. Although Han's status is that of the leading teacher, in fact, he does not dare to offend any of these 3 students. Let him come here just to make this team look more normal. Oh, I met an interesting guy. Zanu's eyes lit up and she looked forward. Coming towards them were Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura. After seeing Zanu, the 3 of them couldn't help but be a little stunned. Schwanyu, why did you come to Konoha? Uzumaki Naruto asked in surprise. I heard that you are coming to take the Chunin exam, so I'm joining in the fun. Zanu smiled softly, this is my team, please give me some advice. Sasuke snorted coldly and said, don't be ridiculous, your strength has already exceeded the Chunin level. Sakura also said, yeah, this is a little bit. Schwanyu didn't intend to explain anything. He knew that Orochimaru was about to invade Konoha disguised as Kazekage. There are some things that no one would believe even if they were told now. At this time, Kakashi also arrived in a hurry. Sure enough, it's you. Kakashi seemed relieved, but frowned again. Long time no see, Kakashi. Zanu smiled, as if nothing happened. Kakashi adjusted his breathing and whispered, Hokage-sama wants to see you. Hokage room. The 3rd Hokage looked at the boy in front of him with complicated emotions. There was a harmless smile on the young man's face, but the 3rd Hokage knew that his strength might not even be able to keep up with his own. Are you Chenying Schwanyu, the rumored leader of the Zangyu organization? Sandai asked softly. Zanu nodded, her smile not diminishing. Then, just tell me your purpose. Why do you want to take the Chunin exam? Sandai asked slowly. Zanu thought for a moment whether to reveal Orochimaru's plan. But if you do that, I'm afraid it will cause more trouble. Actually, this Chunin exam is not as simple as you think. Maybe something terrible will happen. What I can assure you is that it will never hurt anyone's life, at least not the lives of the ninjas in this village. Zanu said this, but obviously, these reasons cannot convince the 3rd generation. Schwanyu, can I be sure that you are not a threat to Konoha? Sarutobi's dim eyes seemed to be shining. Previously, Jiraiya had secretly communicated with the 3rd generation and informed him about his contact with Zanu. Zanu actually mastered the art of flying thunder god, which shocked the 3 generations. Whether I pose a threat to Konoha naturally depends on your sincerity. Zanu stood up and said softly, if you have no evil intentions towards me, I will naturally not take the initiative to provoke you. But if someone has any crooked thoughts about me or my friends, I can't guarantee that person's safety. Faced with such words, Sandai felt threatened. But in fact, what Zanu said is not unreasonable. This is the most basic rule for walking in the ninja world. Those who kill will always be killed. Zanu smiled slightly, turned and walked towards the door. The 3rd Hokage, letting me take the Chunin exam as a genin will only benefit you Konoha. If you really want to stop it, it will worsen the relationship with Iwagakure. After all, I am a legal ninja there. No one can stop what you want to do. This battle determines the future direction of too many Hokages. You can't just miss it casually. After leaving the Hokage room, no one dared to stop him. Except for the 3rd generation and a few Chunin, no one knew that he was the widely circulated Senkage Genjutsu in the outside world. One day later, the Chunin exams began in a hurry. This exam is divided into 3 parts. The first level is a written test, the second level is survival in the forest of death, and the third level is an arena battle. In the written test, Zanu was naturally already familiar with the routines. Collecting intelligence couldn't be easier for Schwanyu and Chiano, who possess eye skills. Only Kuretsuchi frowned, unable to understand Konoha's deliberate problem. But Zanu also secretly used illusions to directly convey the answer to Kuretsuchi. In the end, under the instruction of the examiner Ibiki, all those who did not give up the exam passed the test. So far, everything is as expected. All the 12 strong men of Konoha passed the test, and many genin from other ninja villages also passed the test. Among them, Zanu naturally noticed Orochimaru, who was disguised as a sound ninja. Orochimaru suddenly felt something wrong when he saw Zanu's expression, but it only stayed for a short moment. The second scene, the Forest of Death. The examiner Hongdu faced everyone with a smile. In the second exam, you rookies are about to face 7 days of death and survival. No food or props are allowed. Only personal ninja tools are allowed. Watch the scrolls of heaven and earth in your hands. If you want to reach the tower in the center of the forest, you must hold both scrolls of heaven and earth to be considered qualified. After speaking, a Kurigakur ninja asked. But we only have one scroll in our hands. Anko smiled and said playfully. So, the scroll must be obtained from other people. As soon as these words came out, all the ninjas were slightly awe-inspiring. This means that everyone except your own team is a potential enemy. Very good, a nice expression. Hongdu opened the entrance to the Forest of Death and said, what method you use to snatch the scroll is your personal freedom. Even killing the other party is fine. The race in the Forest of Death begins. At the command, the ninjas poured into the dark and deep forest. Hongdu said silently to himself, HMPH, how many of these brats can survive? Teacher Anko. A faint greeting came from behind Anko, startling her. Hongdu turned around quickly and saw Zanyu's face. Looking at the Yenian village forehead protector on Zanyu's forehead, she asked doubtfully, you students from Yenian village, why haven't you entered yet? Do you want to give up the exam? Anko then smiled and said, yes, it's normal for you to feel scared, but unfortunately, this is Konoha's usual style. Zanyu shook her head gently. Sometimes being too anxious doesn't do much good. He smiled faintly, but glanced at Anko's neck hidden in the collar. There is the curse seal Orochimaru placed on Anko. As a former disciple of Orochimaru, Anko had already been placed under many curses by Orochimaru. The Sharingan opened quietly, clearly seeing the curse mark hidden on Anko's neck. That's it, Zanyu said silently. He has analyzed Orochimaru's curse seal information. Using the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, he easily copied the writing method of the curse seal. Although it cannot be compared with Orochimaru's, Xuanyu has a general understanding of this kind of curse seal. It can mobilize the potential power in the human body, but it will put a strong burden on the body. Generally speaking, it is a similar technique to the 8-gate Dunjia. However, what is different about this technique is that it can increase the intensity and amount of chakra. In this regard, it is slightly more flexible than the 8-gate Dunjia. If you don't want to give up the exam, go in quickly. Hongdu said sternly. Zanyu had obtained the information she wanted and nodded slightly. Sorry, let's go in now. Before leaving, Zanyu inadvertently smiled, but Hongdu didn't notice it the whole time. The hidden curse mark on his neck had been instantly seen by this young man. Seeing the strange combination of Zhenyu, Chiano and Kuritsuchi walking into the Forest of Death, Anko couldn't help but feel worried. She knew that there was no way a group like this could survive the cruel environment of the Death Forest. The Forest of Death is a huge ring-shaped primeval forest. There are all kinds of dangerous animals in it, but there are also some places suitable for human survival. In a death match in such a terrifying location, with ninjas from different villages mixed in, the survival rate will definitely drop significantly. Konoha will naturally not waste the lives of the younger generation on this competition. Therefore, there is actually something fishy in the scroll of heaven and earth that everyone gets. Zanyu held up the scroll and glanced at the words on it. What we got is the scroll of heaven. Kuritsuchi said excitedly, okay. Let's go grab an earth scroll and bring it back. Zanyu smiled helplessly. We can have as many scrolls as we want, but have you never thought about why the examiner doesn't let us open them? Kuritsuchi shook his head. If I open it, I'm afraid I'll be disqualified. There should be something like a mechanism. Zanyu smiled playfully and said, you are too timid. We are not really here to take the exam. Chiano nodded and agreed. That's right, I don't care about Chunin. Kuritsuchi was speechless and said in his heart, I care. I'm really a genin. Zanyu said slowly, actually, the scroll of the sky contains psychic techniques. He knew that when the candidates arrived at the tower in the center of the Death Forest, the Chunin who had been hidden in the scroll in advance would come out to congratulate the team on passing the test. This is very clear in the original work. Therefore, there should be a certain ninja sealed in Zanyu's heavenly scroll. Who could it be? Zanyu opened the scroll without hesitation. The scroll was opened, and a puff of smoke came out of it. Chino and Kuritsuchi were so frightened that they took a few steps back. Are you so cowardly? Zanyu looked at the spell in the scroll, and it turned out to be a psychic spell. There should be a certain teacher hidden inside now. Sure enough, after a while, there was only a plop sound, and a figure was summoned. A voice came out first. Congratulations on passing the second exam. Ha! The person who was channeled was surprisingly Hatake Kakashi. Kakashi looked at his surroundings, and black lines instantly appeared on his face. Hey, isn't this passed yet? Why did you open the scroll without permission? Just as he was about to have an attack, he discovered that it was Zanu and his party who opened the scroll. Naturally, there is nowhere to release this temper. He would never dare to get angry with Zanu. Ahem, it turns out it's you. Kakashi said helplessly, in the final analysis, you are not here for the exam at all. It is normal to be curious about the scroll. Zanu patted Kakashi on the shoulder and said, thank you for your hard work. We are indeed not here for the exam. Please show us the way. Kakashi took a step back, frowned and said, don't be joking. If other candidates see it, it will be difficult to explain. Zanu thought that this was true, but he immediately thought of a way. 5 minutes later, Xuanyu, Chiano, and Kuretsuchi walked quietly in the forest. In Kuretsuchi's arms, he held a ninja dog belonging to Shugen, but this ninja dog had a very unique look, with a forehead protector covering one eye. Brother Zanu is so smart, he came up with a way to turn Kakashi-sensei into a ninja dog. Chiano said with a smile. Zanu also smiled. Kakashi enjoyed it very much. It is rare for him to be held by a beautiful woman. Kakashi, ninja dog, blushed and said, this is me giving you face. Under Kakashi's guidance, Zanu and others easily avoided those dangerous areas. Soon, we arrived at a small river. The water here is drinkable and fresh fish can be caught in the river. You can also pick fresh wild fruits from the nearby berry bushes. This area is considered the best area in the Death Forest. Kakashi said slowly, other than that, there are all beasts and blood-sucking insects. Zanu nodded with satisfaction and found a good camping spot by the stream. Take out the snacks, drinks, and of course a picnic cloth that have been prepared in advance from the divine space. Zanu directly regarded this place as a picnic spot. Wow, there are so many high-end sushi packages. Chiano's eyes twinkled. Kakashi couldn't help but feel helpless and said, I should have searched you before entering. How did you bring these in? Zanu pointed to her eyes. You can do it too, Kakashi. Shinwei space was directly regarded as a mobile storage space by Zanu. It didn't take long for the picnic to be arranged. Zanu walked to the river and saw all the fish and shrimp in the river. Art fire escape ho fireball. The raging flames lifted the fish in the river just right, and then cooked them instantly in the air. Click, click, click. Dozens of grilled fish landed on the picnic sheet. Let me prepare my secret sauce for you. Zanu took out various seasonings prepared in advance from the divine power space. According to his own memory, he actually tasted grilled fish. Cumin is the key, and Zanu spent a lot of effort to find it. This strange fragrance made everyone's noses twitch. Kuretsuchi picked up a piece of grilled fish, opened his thin lips and took a small bite. This tastes so delicious. I have never eaten grilled fish like this. Kuretsuchi touched her hot cheek. She actually blushed because of a dish. It's so delicious, brother Xuanyu. Chiano also said. The little guy was a big eater, and he destroyed several grilled fishes in a short time. Kakashi sniffed and tasted the scent with the body of the ninja dog. Yes, your seasoning is very special. Zanu said softly. I prepared this according to the Chinese way. You must have never eaten it. None of them understood what China was. But in their minds, Washa has definitely become synonymous with food. It's better to become a human and eat it, Kakashi. Zanu said with a smile, no one is curious about your face under the mask. Although Kakashi also had this intention, he still shook his head and said, forget it, if someone sees it, it will cause a big disaster. A few people were enjoying their meal when suddenly there was a rustling sound in the woods. That was a sign of danger. Kakashi frowned and said, pay attention. Zanu smiled flatly and said, it doesn't matter who comes, just treat it as an after-dinner activity. A few minutes later, 3 masked ninjas emerged from the woods. Judging from their forehead protectors, they seemed to be from the Rain Ninja Village. You guys really don't know how vast the world is, and you actually have a picnic in a place like this. People within a few kilometers of the aroma of food probably know your location. Rain Ninja Village is a very ancient ninja village. These 3 ninjas, if Zanu remembers correctly, they will use a clone technique. This clone technique can form a large number of clones. Although it has no actual attack effect, it is endless. Ordinary eye skills cannot see where the real body is. You continue to eat and ignore them. Zanu said softly, I will take care of it. Kakashi sighed and said, don't go too far and don't cause death. I have my own sense of proportion. Zanu slowly stood up and stood upright in front of the 3 rain ninjas. Realizing that they were being looked down upon, the expressions on the faces of the 3 rain ninjas were not very good. Are you so arrogant that you want to challenge 3 of us? When did the brat from Iwagakure village become so stupid? The 3 of them smiled ferociously and made hand seal gestures one after another. Taki clone. Countless clones stand around Zanu. There are nearly 100 large and small. Ordinary ninjas would definitely be frightened when they saw this kind of formation. Even if these Taki clones are not physical, they are scary enough that you can't tell where the real body is hiding. You're done for, you ignorant brat. Countless clones rushed towards Zanu. But the next second, Zanu's figure disappeared instantly. Where? Hundreds of clones, none of them found where Zanu was. By the time Zanu appeared, it was already too late. Water release. Rain needle. 1,000 needles, made of countless water, accurately hit the vital points of each Taki clone. Hundreds of Taki clones collapsed instantly. Zanu had tried her best to deal with the enemy with the least damage. I know your true bodies are hidden in the dirt, come up here. I promise I won't kill you. How could the 3 rain ninja genin dare to attack again at this moment? He had no choice but to crawl out of the soil obediently and look at Zanu with avoidant eyes. Taki's clone has a pretty good ability. Show me the completely printed knot. Zanu said this. Yu Ren also knew that Zanu and himself were not at the same level at all. He had no choice but to do as Zanu ordered. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan activated instantly, and Zanu had completely copied Taki's clone. Ding! Get Taki's clone. This clone has no special abilities, but it can generate a large number of them. This clone of Taki cannot target a certain escape technique like other clones. However, it allows Zanu to create a large number of illusions in an instant, which is also a good use in tactics. Taki's clone technique. Zanu instantly used Taki's clones. He only used a little chakra to give birth to thousands of Taki's clones. The 3 rain ninjas were immediately stunned. They never expected that Zanu could instantly copy their ninjutsu and use it more skillfully than them. Thank you. Zanu patted Yu Ren's shoulder. What is your scroll? Yu Ren murmured. We are the Book of the Earth. Oh, what a coincidence, we are the Book of Heaven. Zanu said with a smile. The 3 rain ninjas felt their hearts pounding, and they knew something was wrong. I am afraid that my scroll of this earth is really no longer safe. Take it, this Book of Heaven is given to you. Zanu threw the Book of Heaven casually. Find a place to hide, you can still pass the exam quietly. This time, the 3 rain ninjas were immediately stunned. Holding Zanu's heavenly scroll in his hand, he felt as if he was dreaming. Is this reality? Why did you give it to us? Are there detonators or something inside? With such questions, Yu Ren stood there stupidly, watching Zanu pack up the picnic utensils and leave the scene. Why should I give it to them? How am I going to go back? Kakashi said dissatisfied. You can have as many scrolls as you want, don't worry so much. Zanu said with a smile. Zanu didn't care about the result of this exam at all. It wasn't the main course yet, it was just for fun at most. How much more fun can there be in the Forest of Death? One day later, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were currently confronting a handsome rain ninja. To be precise, they encountered Orochimaru. Sasuke, I can give you the power you want. Are you not interested at all? Orochimaru said leisurely. At this moment, Naruto has been penetrated by Orochimaru with the 5 elements interpretation seal. He fell to the ground, unconscious. Sasuke and Sakura, on the other hand, were immobilized by Orochimaru's golden sealing technique and were unable to move at all. This is a body-holding technique that will definitely hit you as long as there is a difference in strength. Who are you? Sasuke gritted his teeth, the Sharingan in his eyes had been released. And Orochimaru wanted Sasuke's Sharingan. As long as he uses the reincarnation technique to descend into Sasuke's body, he can have a young and powerful body, as well as the blood of the Uchiha clan. When the time comes, Orochimaru will be close to invincible by using his own technology. Haha, you are indeed very strong, but you still made a miscalculation after all. Sasuke suddenly sneered. The kunai instantly pierced the thigh, and the pain was instantly lifted. Oh, using pain to force yourself to release the immobilization technique is a good choice, but can you beat me? Orochimaru sneered. Sasuke instantly channeled a long sword that exuded a strange aura and attacked Orochimaru. Orochimaru's expression changed, and he was surprised when he saw the sword in Sasuke's hand. This is the 7-star sword. The 6 Paths Ninja Tool. Turning his eyes, he thought that in order to deal with Zanu, he once channeled the Golden Horn and Silver Horn. Could it be that the ninja tool was snatched away by Zanu at that time, and Zanu gave it to Sasuke? That Zanu actually did such a thing. Even you wouldn't dare to block the 7-star sword with the power of seal, right? Sasuke sneered. Orochimaru took out the Kusanagi sword with an ugly expression. Although it was also a divine weapon, it could only barely compete with the 7-star sword. Tie the immortal rope. Naruto woke up and thought of the 6 ninja tools in his hand, so he threw out the bundle of fairy ropes. Orochimaru was directly bound by the immortal binding rope, unable to move no matter how hard he struggled. Sakura, use your red gourd to seal him completely. Sasuke shouted. Xiaoying took out the red gourd and plucked up the courage to say, do you dare to agree if I ask you? Orochimaru snorted helplessly. I made a miscalculation today, and the 6 Paths Ninja Tool fell into your hands. But if you want to defeat me with this, you are still too young. Orochimaru was bound by the immortal rope and could not move for a moment. But just as Sasuke raised his sword, Orochimaru suddenly stretched out his neck like a snake and bit Sasuke's neck hard. The power of the curse seal was fully injected into this bite. Sasuke lost strength instantly, and Sakura and Naruto were unable to fight anymore. Orochimaru's body suddenly trembled, and he shrank in size. The originally strong binding rope fell off. This is the peculiarity of Orochimaru's body. Software modification can make bones and flesh reach almost extreme flexibility. Oh, Sasuke, sooner or later you will accept my power. After saying that, Orochimaru disappeared into the dark forest in an instant. Naruto was affected by the 5 elements seal, and Sasuke was also infused with the power of the curse seal. At this moment, Naruto and Sasuke, the 2 major fighting powers, lost consciousness and could no longer fight, leaving Sakura alone. Unfortunately, groups of sound ninjas suddenly surrounded the 3 of them. The leaders were none other than the 3 genin of the sound ninja, Sak, Toss and Jin. Hand over the scrolls in your hands. Toss said slowly, otherwise, I will kill you. Naruto and Sasuke were still unconscious at this moment, leaving Sakura alone. I will not give you the important scroll. Sakura mustered up her courage, this time it's my turn to protect them. Haha, do you want to defeat the 3 of us alone? Sak said with a grin. The wind acupoints in his hands instantly produced terrible wind pressure, blowing Sakura away more than 10 meters. Jin held 1,000 books and sneered. Stop talking nonsense to this woman, wouldn't it be better to just kill her? In addition to the 3 of them, many subordinates from the Sound Ninja village had sneaked into the Forest of Death. It's really hard to stop Sakura alone. But when the impatient Odo Nin was about to take action, an evil wind blew from nowhere, and a blood-colored fog actually arose from the already dark forest. Water release. Blood mist jutsu. Only a cold voice was heard, and the name of the ninjutsu was revealed. The surrounding sound ninjas instantly panicked, and panic gradually spread because they were deprived of their sight. The blood mist kept getting thicker, and even Sark's wind cave couldn't dispel the thick mist. Don't panic, my hearing is very good. Toss said slowly. Toss has a device that emits sound waves on his arm. In order to be able to use sound waves well, he himself is also extremely sensitive to sound. Therefore, only he can temporarily ignore this blood mist technique. When Sakura saw the blood mist, she felt a chill in her heart. At this moment, a familiar figure approached her, and for some reason, she felt completely unwary about this aura. Sakura, you did a good job. Zanu appeared in a flash, smiled and touched Sakura's hair. Zanu, why are you here? Xiao Ying was stunned. Without saying anything, Zanu gently picked up Sakura and moved back, bringing her to the unconscious Sasuke and Naruto. It's safe here. I will take care of everything soon. After Zanu finished speaking, she disappeared. On the other side, Sak, Toss and Jin were gathered together, facing this terrifying blood mist technique. Because they know that the enemy may come at any time. At this moment, a breeze blew by, and the blood mist that they couldn't dispel just now disappeared. This is actually Zanu's initiative to remove the blood mist technique. After the smoke dissipated, a white-haired boy stood in front of them. Who are you? Sak was stunned. You're from Yenian village. You have nothing to do with this place. Get out of here if you don't want to get hurt. Toss said slowly. Wait a minute, how can Salrock Ninja use the blood mist technique? Be careful about this person's background. After listening, Zanu nodded and said, it seems that you are quite calm. Toss stood in front of his companion and said, what do you want? A scroll. As long as you don't hinder us, the scroll can be given to you. Anyway, our goal is just to kill the 3 guys over there. Toss slowly looked at the 3 people over there. It was Naruto and the others. Zanu shook her head and smiled. Sorry, I didn't seem to make it clear. I'll give you a choice, either get out now, or get a lesson from me and then get out. Not only Sak and others were stunned, but the sound ninja on the periphery also felt that Zanu's brain was broken. It seems that you are definitely going to hinder us. Toss snorted and said, but there are dozens of us, how are you going to teach us a lesson? The sound ninjas gathered around and stared at Zanu menacingly. Zanu suddenly raised her hand to form a seal without any warning, and countless earth clones rose from the ground, blocking Yin Ren tightly from the outside. Earth escape. Earth flowing river. All the earth clones were seen forming seals one after another, creating a large mudslide. Dozens of sound ninjas on the periphery were attacked without even struggling, and were directly buried alive in the mudslide. This level of earth escape. Toss took a step back, timidity already showing in his eyes. But Sak still didn't believe in evil. He opened the wind points of his hands with 100% chakra and hit Zanu. However, his fully opened wind acupoint was only resolved by Zanu with a wave of his hand. Leave the scroll, you can go away. Zanu said lightly. Just by showing a little bit of her hands, the 3 of them already understood Zanu's strength. Toss was the most knowledgeable among the 3 sound ninjas, so he took the initiative to take out the scroll. Sorry, I'll leave the scroll to you, and we will never come to provoke you again. Toss threw the scroll over, and the 3 of them took a step back and ran away. Zanu didn't chase after them, she just put away the scroll and put it in her arms, then walked towards Xiao Ying and the others. At this moment, Kuretsuchi and Chiano, who were hiding in the woods, also came out. Are you okay, Sister Sakura? Chiano asked with a smile. Sakura nodded and said gratefully, thank you for helping me. She glanced at Zanu again, with a hint of blush on her face, and lowered her head, not daring to look directly. After seeing the curse mark on Sasuke's neck, Zanu said silently, it seems that we are still a little late. At the same time, Kakashi, who had turned into a ninja dog, also changed his expression. Is this Orochimaru's curse seal? Kakashi asked, why did Orochimaru appear? It's hard to explain too much about this matter. Zanu cut Sasuke's collar open and saw that the curse seal had penetrated deep into his body. Can you save him? Sakura asked pleadingly. Seeing that Sasuke was injured, Sakura panicked and didn't know what to do. The Sharingan in Zanu's eyes began to appear. He took out a writing brush and began to write the sealing spell around Sasuke. Orochimaru, this kind of power is indeed not suitable for Sasuke. Zanu, who had already used the Sharingan to analyze Orochimaru's curse seal, naturally knew how to use sealing techniques to perfectly suppress the curse seal. Compared with the original work, the evil sealing seal, used by Kakashi to suppress the curse seal has a more perfect effect. What are you going to do? Kakashi asked. Just watch. If this curse seal is not suppressed, Sasuke will soon degenerate into a monster. Zanu said lightly. Hearing how serious it was, Sakura's face turned pale. But Zanu smiled and said, don't worry, he will be fine as long as I am here. For some reason, Xiao Ying felt that she always felt particularly at ease when she saw Zanu's smiling face. Gradually, After getting along with Zanu several times, she actually felt that Zanu was much more handsome than Sasuke. Not only is he strong, he is also gentle and feels safe. Maybe my heart has changed unconsciously. The curse seal is solved. After drawing the talisman, Zanu injected a majestic chakra into the talisman. This rune accepted the chakra, crawled directly over Sasuke's body, and then surrounded the curse seal of the sky. Then, Zanu injected a trace of dark chakra. His own dark chakra can absorb the opponent's chakra and turn it into his own. Therefore, as long as a trace of dark chakra is injected, all the chakra in Orochimaru's curse seal can be absorbed. After a few minutes, the absorption was completed, and Zanu let out a long breath. This heavenly curse seal is really powerful. With my own chakra, it took me a long time to remove it. It seems that Orochimaru's research is something that should not be underestimated. Compared to the low-level curse seals Orochimaru sold to Kato at that time, they were completely different. Zanu, will he be okay? Sakura asked. Well, a lot of the curse seal has been eliminated, but Sasuke cannot use chakra for 3 days, otherwise there is a risk of the curse seal being resurrected. Zanu said. This heavenly curse seal is like a tumor, sucking nutrients from your body until your chakra is exhausted. At this time, you have to use this evil power. This scroll is for you. Zanu handed the scroll from the Sound Ninja team to Sakura. Sakura took the scroll and said in surprise, now it's complete. Ours is the scroll of earth, and this is the scroll of sky. Zanu nodded. You only need to survive until 7 days later. Remember, don't provoke Orochimaru again. After saying that, Zanu didn't want to stay any longer, so she left with everyone. Sakura looked at Zanu's back and said to herself, what an incredible man. In the next few days, Xuanyu also snatched the scrolls of several teams of genin, and finally collected all the scrolls of heaven and earth. He went out of his way to grab teams that were completely incompetent, so that it would not affect the balance of the game. After 7 days, the tower in the center of the forest finally opened. Kakashi can finally transform into a human openly and welcome Zanu and others to pass. Ahem, congratulations on passing the second exam, Kakashi said helplessly. In fact, there is no suspense at all. A person of Zanu's level would be a ferocious wolf if placed among this group of lambs. The whole process can be described as unimpeded. However, Kakashi did know some information about Orochimaru. He knew that Orochimaru had also returned to this place. We have to inform the third Hokage immediately. Kakashi secretly thought, I wonder what the purpose of Orochimaru's return is. Zanu smiled lightly and said, it's not a good thing anyway. Kakashi suddenly thought of something and asked, Xuanyu, did you know that Orochimaru was coming to Konoha? Thinking of Zanu's series of strange actions, Kakashi couldn't help but wonder. Zanu turned around and said with a smile, you can guess for yourself, I have to prepare for the third exam. The third test is a single battle in the arena. The battle adopts a knockout format and has nothing to do with the team. All promoted genin will fight until they become the champion. But ranking does not mean everything. The jury will assess the situation and ultimately decide who can advance to Chunin. The arena competition will be held in a week, so the time during this period is free. What should we do? Do we want to fight those scary guys? Kuretsuchi said nervously. Zanu was helpless. How could this girl be so brave when she came to assassinate him? Just think it's just for fun. Zanu said, the same goes for you, Chiano, don't show off in anything. Chiano nodded. In fact, with her strength, she really wasn't afraid of these genin. Zanu felt that it would be a good thing for her to accumulate more practical experience. On the other side, in order to prepare for the third arena match, Naruto found Jiraiya to train, while Sasuke followed Kakashi. Psychic art, Naruto asked doubtfully. Well, it's a technique that can help you summon psychic beasts to fight. It's a very powerful auxiliary for fighting, Jiraiya said slowly. It sounds so difficult. No matter what Naruto did, he couldn't gather chakra. Jiraiya naturally discovered the clue, because Naruto's abdomen was hit by Orochimaru with the 5 elements seal. Chakra is disordered and naturally cannot be condensed properly. Therefore, Jiraiya used the 5 elements seal on Naruto so that the 9 tails chakra could communicate with Naruto. Okay, hurry up and learn the art of channeling. After an afternoon of training, Naruto could still only summon tadpoles. When Jiraiya was at a loss what to do, a shadow suddenly appeared. What are you practicing for? Do you want me to learn from it? Zanu squinted her eyes and smiled. It's you. Jiraiya gritted his teeth. Zanu killed him severely last time, but he still remembered it. Zanu, do you also want to learn the art of channeling? Naruto asked. I will not give him the signing document of the Myoboku mountain toad. Jiraiya said angrily. Although Zanu has terrifying copying abilities, things like channeling cannot be used without signing a contract. If you don't want to learn, just don't learn. You don't think channeling a few toads is powerful, do you? Zanu sneered. Naruto, do you want to learn a more powerful technique? Upon hearing the more powerful technique, Naruto's eyes immediately shone. Learn, I want to learn. Naruto nodded desperately. Okay, please ask Jiraiya to give me the signing document, and I will teach you more powerful ninjutsu. Zanu said with a smile. Naruto and Jiraiya were stunned at the same time. Naruto, don't be fooled by him. Jiraiya said, this ninja with unknown origin just wants to learn our psychic skills secretly. Naruto snorted coldly and said, I don't care, it's just to learn more powerful techniques. Jiraiya sneered, I won't hand it over no matter what. Naruto also laughed contemptuously and began to form seals. The art of multiple shadow clones. You want to grab it, can't you? Jiraiya said angrily, do you think I, the majestic Lord Jiraiya, will be afraid? Although Naruto looked menacing, Zanu had already guessed what he wanted to do. Haha, harem technique. I saw a large group of Naruto's shadow clones, instantly transformed into hot beauties. Amidst the clouds and mist, the spring light is looming. Jiraiya's nosebleed instantly gushed out like a fountain, and he lay on the ground with excessive blood loss. Naruto took the opportunity to take off the Myoboku Mountain Psychic Beast signing book from behind him and handed it to Zanu. You must teach me powerful ninjutsu. Naruto said. I will handle it. Zanu unfolded the signing scroll and signed her name at the back of the list. In this way, it would be considered a contract with the toad. Zanu has already memorized the gestures of the psychic technique, and copying them with the Sharingan is a piece of cake. Let me try it first. Zanu bit her finger instantly and completed the seal in one go. Psychic art. Just listen to a few plop plop. 3 giant toads instantly appeared on the plain, causing strong vibrations when they appeared. Jiraiya's eyes widened, he couldn't believe this fact. What's the situation? He actually channeled Gamabunta, Gamahiro, and Gamaken at the same time. What kind of terrifying chakra is this? Gamabunta also noticed that he was actually channeled by an unknown kid. When he saw the Iwagakure forehead protector on Zanu's forehead, his veins suddenly became furious. Hey, Jiraiya, why did you give the signing document to the kid from Iwagakure village? Jiraiya said with some embarrassment. This is because of a series of reasons. Tojien shrugged and said, forget it, the brat, the boss, channeled the 3 of us in an instant. He is quite powerful. Togahiro nodded and said, that's right, even Minato would have trouble doing it, right? Galbuntai shouted coldly and looked at Zanu. You're just a brat. If you want to control me, you have to pass my test. With a flick of the big smoke gun, Wentai was ready to take off to see if Zanu could withstand his own speed. But when he was about to jump, he found that his body was extremely heavy and he couldn't even move at all. Is the test over? Zanu sneered, or has it just started? Wentai reluctantly looked behind him and found several small stones falling on his back. Why does this small piece of gravel produce a gravity weighing tens of millions of tons? What did you do? Wentai asked reluctantly. It's just the art of super heavy rock. Zanu said lightly, I don't like any of your tests, can I end it? Wentai shivered twice, it seemed that he had encountered a tough problem this time. But this kid is so scary that he has no chance of winning even if he tries hard. Okay, just admit that you are the master. Wentai said. Jiraiya also widened his eyes and said, how could he suppress Bunta so easily? When Gao Jian and Gao Guang saw their elder brother acting like this, they naturally didn't dare to make a mistake. Naruto felt a chill running down his spine and said, can such a terrifying thing come out through a channel? Okay, I just wanted to say hello. Go back. Zanu lifted the psychic spell with just one move. Naruto quickly ran over and asked, as promised, you will teach me ninjutsu. Oh, ninjutsu. Zanu thought for a while and asked, which one do you want to learn? Zanu currently masters too many ninjutsu. Learn something super cool, Naruto said excitedly. How about this? Zanu smiled and rolled out a ball in an instant. When Wanzi touched a big tree, the force generated directly broke it in half. Wow, this is a bit strong, Naruto said in surprise. HMPH, Jiraiya, you know this trick, don't you want to say something? Zanu asked. Why didn't you teach me such a powerful ninjutsu earlier? Naruto glared at Jiraiya. Jiraiya said in embarrassment, this ninjutsu is too early for you. How can you learn it in a week? Zanu sneered, thinking that the author might not have thought of this trick at that time. Don't worry, Naruto, if I teach you, you can definitely learn it in a week. In this way, within a week, Naruto accepted the Rasengan guidance from Jiraiya and Genjutsu. After Zanu reminded Naruto that the shadow clone could help him make balls, Naruto learned this trick very quickly. I really learned it, Jiraiya couldn't help but say. Zanu thought to herself that now Naruto might be able to run amok in the Genin exams. Next, Sasuke actually has nothing to teach him, so let's go see Sakura. Compared to Naruto and Sasuke, Sakura has the least background. Without the guidance of a famous teacher, she could only practice on her own. She often felt lonely because she could not keep up with Naruto and Sasuke. In a remote training ground, Zanu found Sakura who was throwing darts. Seeing her trying so hard, Zanu couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Because he knew that Sakura's strength would not improve significantly until she met Tsunade. Now a large part of her efforts will be in vain. Thinking of this, I feel a little sad. Still practicing, Sakura was aiming her shuriken at the bullseye when she heard a familiar voice coming from behind her. Zanu. Xiaoying lowered her head shyly and asked, what are you doing here? Zanu smiled and said, let me see you. It seemed that the sky was already getting dark, and Sakura was still practicing, so she definitely didn't want to fall too far behind them. Look at me. Sakura's face turned red and she muttered, what's so good about me? In fact, what I was thinking was, I don't know how excited I am to have such a strong and handsome boy so close. Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit ambiguous, Zanu coughed twice and said, actually, I'm here to help you practice. Practice? Are you willing to teach me ninjutsu? Sakura's eyes lit up. Zanu smiled and nodded. Come on, wipe your face first, it's all stained. Zanu took out a handkerchief and handed it to Xiaoying. Rolling around in the training ground will inevitably stain your cheeks. Sakura blushed and took the handkerchief, sniffing it quietly while Zanu wasn't paying attention. Well, I'm stupid and I don't know what ninjutsu I can learn. You have a strong talent in the field of illusion. Zanu smiled, but I'm afraid Yuhi Kurenai of Konoha is not in a position to teach you illusion. So I will be the teacher. Illusion, Sakura thought for a moment, speaking of it, I have indeed seen through many illusions. Zanu smiled confidently and said, within 3 days, I will train you to become a ninja who uses illusions to fight. 3 days passed quickly. The battle in the arena finally begins. An ellipsoid-shaped venue where thousands of Konoha villagers gathered. The villagers also regarded the rare Chunin joint exam as a grand event. People came to watch the Genin's battles as if they were watching a football match. Located in the stands on the second floor, the fourth Kazekage and the third Hokage sat side by side. As the leaders of the two villages, they are also very happy to watch their favorite students compete here. But the third generation didn't know that the Kazekage at this time was already Orochimaru in disguise. Feng Ying said slowly, Hokage-sama, I have seen some scenes from the second exam. It seems that the ninjas of Konoha are not very outstanding. Gaara's strength may far exceed your imagination. Sandai snorted inadvertently, feeling a little dissatisfied at being ridiculed in front of his face. Speaking of Konoha's capable genin, there are quite a few. But none of them are as outstanding as Gaara. It is said that when Gaara passed through the Death Forest, his clothes were not stained by even dust. However, Sandai immediately thought of another person. Speaking of outstanding genin, Senkage Genjutsu from Iwagakure village is no worse than Gaara, right? It is said that he easily defeated a dozen teams and even had a picnic in the Forest of Death. Such strength is probably not comparable to Gaara's. Speaking of Sengi Senkage, although he was not from his ninja village, the third generation still wanted to use him to rub the Kazukage's spirit. But when the Kazekage Orochimaru heard the name Chenkage Genjutsu, he didn't speak for a long time. He is much more familiar with Zanu than the third generation. He vividly remembered when the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan crushed the golden and silver horns. But when he was executing his plan, Zanu, who was participating in the Chunin exam, must have something up his sleeve. Yes, Zanu is also a good seedling, Feng Ying said slowly, but there was a hint of hatred in his words. At this time, a burst of cheers gradually overwhelmed the conversation between the two. The contestants who played against each other in the first round appeared. At this moment, the heads of two ninjas were displayed on the big screen. Uchiha Sasuke versus Red Copper Kai. Ahem, please ask the two contestants to come up to the stage. Moonlight Hayate, the examiner, said slowly. Zanu was lying on the railing and watching, and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Moonlight Hayate really looked like he was seriously ill. The dark circles under his eyes and the fact that he would cough every time he spoke made him feel very unlucky. But not long after, he would be killed by Sand Ninja McGee. Come on Sasuke, Sakura whispered. In the past, there were not many fans of Uchiha Sasuke in the stands, and most of them were female fans. But this time, many female fans have joined the ranks of worshipping Zanu, and competition among fans has formed. Lord Zanu is more handsome. No, Sasuke is still handsome. Zanu couldn't laugh or cry, Sasuke said secretly, boring woman. After saying that, the confident Sasuke jumped off the stands and landed in the arena. The opponent is a ninja who can absorb chakra. He is also a subordinate of the Sound Ninja and is on the same team as Yakushi Kabuto. However, this time Sasuke no longer has to worry about using chakra, because the curse seal of the sky has been lifted. Therefore, the red copper armor had no chance and was instantly killed by Sasuke using ninjutsu. Orochimaru's expression changed slightly on the stage. He didn't understand why the curse seal didn't take effect. Why can Sasuke use ninjutsu unscrupulously? Zanu turned around and looked at Orochimaru on the high platform, showing a playful smile. So it's you, Orochimaru said softly through gritted teeth. The next few games are not as suspenseful as the original ones. But with the addition of Schwanyu's group, the order of battle has been slightly changed. Kuretsuchi faced off against the rising Hinata Neji. There was no suspense, he was easily defeated and disqualified. Neji also gave Zanu face and did not seriously injure Kuretsuchi. Otherwise Zanu would definitely have to teach Neji a lesson in front of everyone. It's okay, try your best next time. Zanu touched Haitu's head. It is worth mentioning that Chino faced Neji's cousin Hyuga Hinata. After just a few fights, Hinata was at a disadvantage. Chino, who controlled the blood escape technique, suppressed Hinata, who only had melee combat skills. Blood ninjutsu. Dot in her eyes. Sandai murmured, what an interesting jutsu. Is this also an eye jutsu? Speaking of the Blood Pond clan, they are a rare family in the ninja world. It's normal for the third generation not to know. But the knowledgeable Orochimaru saw Chiano's origins at a glance. The Blood Dragon Eye is undoubtedly a pupil technique, and its potential is no less than that of the Uchiha clan. Orochimaru said slowly. I see, Lord Kazekage is really knowledgeable. The third generation said with a smile. What Orochimaru was thinking about was how to get the Blood Dragon Eye. He originally only placed his hope on Uchiha's Sharingan. But now there is another Chiano in Schwanyu. Which one doesn't have more potential than Sasuke's two Magatama? Orochimaru was dazzled at this moment. That's enough, Blood Pond Chino wins. Moonlight Hayate judged Chino's victory in time, so that Hinata would not be seriously injured. Hinata was a little unwilling, with tears streaking in the corners of her eyes. He actually lost to Chiano, who was several years younger than him. Everyone would be unwilling to do so. Even we may find that technique difficult. Shino Aburame comforted her. Yes, the power of blood is scary to look at. Ya commented. Afterwards, there were a few more ordinary fights. Naruto easily defeated Kiba, Shino defeated Sak, and Shikamaru defeated Jin. At this time, a special battle began. Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino. Come on, Sakura-chan. Naruto shouted from the stands. Sakura, who was a little frightened, looked at Sasuke and found that the latter ignored her. But Zanu put her hand on Sakura's thin shoulder and said softly, "Be confident, Yamanaka Ino's strength is not as strong as you think." With a blush on her cheeks, Xiaoying nodded and said, "Yes, I will work hard, Zanu. You two, please step forward." Moonlight Gale coughed twice. "Don't hurt your life, no rules, let's start." Facing Ino, who possesses the secret skills of the mountain clan, Sakura is instinctively afraid. The other person is her childhood friend, and he has always had a very strong personality. For her, this battle was a battle with inner demons. But before feeling the inexplicable fear, Sakura thought of Zanu's smile, which gave her the confidence to muster up courage. "Sakura, I think you should give up as soon as possible." Yamanaka Ino sneered, "How can a weakling like you be qualified to stay by Sasuke's side?" Ino, who also likes Sasuke, has always regarded Sakura as a love rival. But Sakura smiled warmly and raised her head. "Sorry, Ino, I don't like Sasuke anymore." Ino couldn't help but be shocked when he heard the news. The proud look he had just now disappeared in an instant. "You don't like Sasuke anymore? Stop lying. You've been paying attention to him since you were a child, haven't you?" For some reason, Ino looked very annoyed. But Sakura didn't take it seriously and answered calmly. "Because I found someone more worthy of my liking. I like Zanu, I've decided." The entire audience was speechless, with half-smiling expressions on their faces. Even the third Hokage didn't know what to say, and his embarrassed expression showed nothing on his face. Cage Orochimaru teased softly, "Konoha's children are really energetic." Naruto looked happy when he heard that Sakura didn't like Sasuke. But when the next sentence came out, it was like being struck by lightning. Originally, the gap between Sasuke and him was not considered a chasm, and Naruto could still compete. But in Naruto's eyes, Zanu, the super genius, is the truly insurmountable gap. It's completely hopeless now. Naruto lay on the railing, hopeless. "That's fine," Sasuke snorted coldly. At this time, Sasuke was still a middle school boy. Generally speaking, the expressions of the Konoha 12 were quite surprised, including Kakashi and several other teachers. However, the most surprised and speechless person in the audience. That must be Zanu himself. There were 3 black lines on Zanu's face, her mouth was open and she didn't know what to say. Behind them, Chiano and Kuretsuchi had blazing fire in their eyes. "Zanu, when did you get together with her? Brother Zanu, you actually do this kind of thing behind my back and sister Xiaoying's back. Are you still considered a man?" Zanu sighed. "It's unfair, it's all a misunderstanding. I went to teach Sakura the genjutsu myself, and nothing out of line happened during the process. Indeed, he paid more attention to Sakura. But it doesn't mean that I am greedy for Ying-Ying's body. After thinking about it, maybe I am too attractive. A girl like Sakura couldn't control herself at all." "Well, please listen to my explanation," Zanu said seriously. "I'm sorry, I didn't want to, but who told me to be so handsome?" But before he could finish his words, Chiano and Kuretsuchi's pink fists hit him. Zanu suddenly had nosebleeds. Kakashi was shocked. He never thought that anyone could make Zanu's nosebleed come out. Women are still scary. Kakashi sighed and buried his head in the paradise of intimacy. The whole place was in an uproar. Finally, Moonlight Blast had to step forward. "Ahem, please let the 2 contestants start competing as soon as possible. Just a reminder, the arena is not a place for romance. If you continue to talk about the topic just now, you 2 will be directly disqualified." Sakura and Ino also quickly smiled and apologized. "HMPH, that's right. You can't beat me anyway. Since you quit, it just so happens that Sasuke is mine." Ino directly performed the hand seal of the heart turn jutsu and aimed at Haruno Sakura. "As long as you use the heart turn technique to control Sakura and then just give up, you can easily win. But Sakura, who has been trained, will not be defeated so easily." Clone technique. Sakura instantly created 3 moving clones, disrupting Ino's vision. As a result, the heart turn technique is no longer 100% sure to hit Sakura. HMPH, even if it's just about physical skills, I'm still above you. Ino couldn't succeed with the attack, so he directly attacked with a kunai. The kunai pierced Sakura's chest mercilessly. Ino was shocked and quickly dropped the kunai. Why don't you run away? Why? A large pool of blood flowed from Sakura's chest, but her expression remained calm and confident. Suddenly, her body turned into a ball of blisters and disappeared into the air. What? Ino looked at Sakura, who disappeared out of thin air, and looked around. How did you disappear? Gradually, the examiner's moonlight was blown by the wind, and the entire venue turned into large groups of blisters and disappeared into the air. In the end, there was only a piece of wasteland left, and Ino standing there. Is this an illusion? Ino questioned, but the smell of blood under his feet was extremely real. He pinched his arm, but the pain did not make the hallucination disappear. Doubts about reality spread into Ino's heart little by little. At this moment, Ino suddenly looked at his feet. His own body actually began to turn into a ball of foam. No, do not want. Don't do this again, stop. A strong sense of distortion spread throughout the body. This was not an illusion at all, this was real pain. Ino felt dizzy before her eyes, and then lost consciousness. Moonlight Hayate stepped forward and opened Ino's eyelids, and after confirming that she had just passed out, he breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Ino was lying quietly in the arena, while Sakura maintained her seal posture. Moonlight Hayate glanced at Sakura and said meaningfully, "A very good genjutsu, not at the level of a genin. Congratulations on your victory." Sakura turned back excitedly, searching for Zanu's figure on the railing. Zanu also saw Xiao Ying, smiled and waved to her. Great, Sakura said to herself. This game allowed her to confirm her feelings for Zanu. It means a lot to her. But the entire audience was in an uproar. What kind of competition is this? It's too boring. It was an instant kill. The girl lay down as soon as she came up. Is it a fake match? On the stage, Orochimaru and Sandai were also slightly surprised. Hokage-sama, I didn't expect that there would be such an illusion genius among the genin this time. The third generation was slightly surprised. Although I knew she had some talent for illusions, I didn't expect it to be to this extent. In the audience, facing the complaints from the audience, Kakashi and other insiders had different views. Red, that illusion is. Asuma guessed. It's a very clever illusion. I'm afraid it controls Ino's senses. Hongdian commented. As the master of illusion, Kurenai Yuhi is the only illusion authority after the annihilation of the Uchiha clan in Konoha. Being called smart by her shows that Yuhi Kurenai thinks highly of Sakura. I want to take her as my disciple, Yuhi Hong said with a smile. Kakashi smiled calmly and said, that's not possible. Sakura is my disciple. I also have some knowledge of illusions. Asuma looked like, I see. Oh, so it was you who taught her. But Kakashi waved his hand. There is someone else who teaches Sakura genjutsu. He is someone we cannot afford to offend. The instructors were so shocked, and the Konoha heroes were even more excited. Sakura, how did you do that? Naruto asked. Ino lost consciousness all of a sudden, she is so strong. Even the way Sasuke looked at Sakura changed, but more importantly, he regarded her as a rival. Both Naruto and Sasuke understood that they had underestimated Sakura too much before. It's all Zanu's teachings. Sakura stuck out her tongue and showed a cute smile. Zanu smiled awkwardly, because there were two burning eyes behind her. From the moment he taught Sakura, he realized that Sakura's talent for illusions was extraordinary. Although I am very confident that Sakura can beat Ino. But he still didn't expect that Sakura could use illusion to subdue Ino in an instant. What he taught Sakura was the most practical art of illusion. 5-sense control. In the final analysis, genjutsu is about using chakra to disrupt the opponent's 5 senses. Depending on the influence, they were given different names for illusions. For example, Naraku no Jutsu is an illusion that creates a frightening visual experience. For example, the magic sound technique focuses on putting pressure on the hearing and interfering with the brain. And so on. But as long as you learn to control the 5 senses, you can create the illusions you want at will. Vision, hearing, smell, touch, taste. Among the 5 senses, vision is the easiest and taste is the most difficult. The more detailed the senses are, the harder it is to influence them. You did great, Sakura. Zanu also ignored everyone's gaze and rewarded Sakura with a slap on the head. Sakura's face instantly turned red and she whispered, "Don't do it in front of so many people. It's so embarrassing." "What's there to be ashamed of?" Zanu said helplessly. "Ahem, it's a normal behavior between a master and a disciple. Who dares to have an opinion anymore?" Looking around at everyone, they all did not dare to speak due to Zanu's lustful power. Looking closer, Zanu thinks Sakura is very cute. Pink hair, fair face, girl-like body, and a pair of slender legs. Compared to the tall Kuritsuchi and the overly Lolita Chino, Sakura is a relatively average model. This model can bring out a sweet and girly feeling. Especially Sakura is usually very masculine, but she behaves like a little girl in front of Zanu, which gives people a contrasting cuteness. Naruto and Shaoli watched from a distance, their hearts bleeding. The fight is over, and then comes another highlight. Rock Lee vs Gaara. This is an extremely classic battle in the original work. Zanu also wanted to see up close how powerful Gaara's sand was. "The game has begun, I hope you will click until the end," Moonlight Gale said slowly. Sure enough, Shaoli started to attack fiercely. Unfortunately, Gaara responded calmly, and the sand easily neutralized Lee's taijutsu. After that, Shaoli opened 5 doors, but was unable to do anything and lost. Gaara was so angry that he tried to break Shaoli's legs with a sand coffin. Everyone was so frightened that they couldn't help but sweat for Shaoli. But just when the sand-bound coffin took effect, Shaoli's body instantly changed position. Zanu used the Flying Thunder God's technique to move it to a safe area. "Who are you? Why did you break into the ring?" Moonlight Gale stepped forward hurriedly. Gaara was extremely emotionally unstable at the moment. When he saw Xuanyu obstructing him, he controlled the yellow sand and rushed over. But Zanu had completed the seal in that instant. Water escape. Waves of chaos. A huge waterfall emerged out of thin air, forming an extremely thick water curtain in front of Zanu. The water curtain easily blocked Gaara's yellow sand. When the sand met the water, it became heavy and difficult to control. Gaara instantly felt tired and quickly took back the sand. "Lee has already lost, so there's no need to destroy his legs, right?" Zanu said with a smile. But Gaara didn't buy it. "The strong have the right to do anything to the weak. If you continue to interfere, I will kill you now." Zanu sneered and her eyes turned cold. "Can you do it on your own?" Seeing that the atmosphere became tense, Moonlight Gale made a prompt decision and terminated the game. Since Rock Lee is unable to continue the match, Gaara is declared the winner. Zanu gives you a warning. Get out of the ring immediately. The faces of Orochimaru and the third Hokage on the stage changed slightly. No one thought that Zanu would save Shaoli. If Zanu takes action against Gaara, the plan will fail. Orochimaru thought to himself. He actually used such a powerful water escape just now. Sandai couldn't help but be stunned. It seems that he is indeed a terrifying genius. Fortunately, the game ended in time. Gaara calmed down, snorted and left the venue. The injuries suffered by Shaoli were limited to the burden on his body caused by driving 5 doors. Far less miserable than having his legs crushed. Back to the stands. "Xuanyu-kun, thank you for saving my disciple." Teacher Akai brought Tenten and Neji to express his thanks. Although Neji was reluctant, Tiantian looked at Zanu with admiration. "Actually, even if I am indifferent, you will take action," Zanu said with a smile, "but if you are one step later, the child's legs will be scrapped." Akai was slightly awe-inspiring and couldn't help but admire Zanu's vision. Just now, he didn't realize that Gaara would actually kill him. Although rescuing Shaoli would be frustrating, saving his legs was still crucial. "Thank you very much." Akai thanked him again. Next, there is only one game left. The long-awaited highlight appeared on the big screen. Zanu vs Kabuto Yakushi. This talented new star of Iwagakure Village faced off against Konoha's calm and sophisticated past students. Considered a close contest, but Zanu's expectations for them can only be said to be a pity. Because he knew that Kabuto Yakushi would directly choose to abstain in order not to expose his true strength. Jiraiya once commented that Kabuto Yakushi's true strength may be on par with Kakashi. "Please come forward, both of you." Yugong Kaifeng coughed twice. Yakushi Kabuto pushed up his glasses and showed a sly smile. And Zanu had already seen through his intentions. Just when Kabuto Yakushi was about to give up, a cold gaze penetrated his lenses directly. As if controlled by an illusion, Kabuto suddenly had no idea of giving up. A thought was conveyed directly to Kabuto through the genjutsu. If you dare to abstain, I will directly expose your identity as an undercover agent. Kabuto was stunned. Now, he is wearing Konoha's forehead protector. But his true identity is Orochimaru's subordinates, a member of the Sound Ninja. It seems that you know something you shouldn't know. Kabuto Yakushi said coldly, then, I can't spare your life. Chakra scalpel activated. Ding, we encountered a powerful enemy, Kabuto Yakushi. The reward for defeating him is a doctor clone, who can control all medical ninjutsu. Zanu smiled. She didn't expect to get system rewards in a place like this. It simply made him more interested in fighting Kabuto Yakushi. Kabuto's chakra scalpel can cut the meridians and muscles of the human body. It is a very deadly physical technique. I don't want to bully you too much, so I'll give you a chance. Zanu opened her arms and said, I can fight with you at close range. Not bad courage. After seeing my chakra scalpel, you still dare to fight me in close combat. Kabuto pushed up his glasses confidently. The light blue chakra blades in both palms slowly solidified. Bring it on. But just a moment later, Yakushi Kabuto just felt a flash in front of his eyes. It seemed like something was flying past him. Suddenly, everything was spinning. Kabuto Yakushi's consciousness fell into darkness. Ding, kill Yakushi Kabuto instantly, get a doctor clone, and control all medical ninjutsu. The breath of the entire audience paused for a second. Immediately afterwards, there was an uproar. Moonlight Gale opened her mouth slightly, as if she didn't expect the game to end so quickly. He just waved his giving arm down. Already, Orochimaru and Sandai on the stage both looked unhappy. Kabuto, why did you accept his provocation? Orochimaru said harshly to himself. Just for a moment, Zanu used super speed to hit Kabuto directly in the abdomen. Just one blow made Kabuto lose consciousness. What's even more frightening is that few people saw Zanu's movements clearly. Not to mention Kakashi and other Jonin, even the Hokage and Orochimaru on the stage could not clearly see clearly. Not to mention those genin. Ahem, Zanu wins. Only now did Yugong Gale remember to declare victory. Kabuto Yakushi, who was knocked unconscious, was also carried away on a stretcher by the medical team. Dealing with an opponent of Kabuto Yakushi's level wasn't worth Zanu's use of too many skills. When you feel better, use a few more ninjutsu and have fun. If you are in a bad mood, just kill instantly. This is Zanu's current policy. With the end of the last battle, the first round of competition also came to an end. After the players rest for 3 days, they will usher in the final elimination round. Currently, a total of 12 people have passed the preliminary round. They are Uchiha Sasuke, Aburame Shino, Kankuro, Haruno Sakura, Temari, Shikamaru, Naruto, Neji, Gaara, and Toss. As well as Schwanyu and Chiano. I didn't expect all 3 of you to advance. Kakashi said with a smile in his eyes, have a good rest tonight. That night, a hidden rooftop in Konoha. 2 mysterious figures were whispering. They thought that under such moonlight, no one would notice what happened in the dark. However, this is Konoha, and even in places where the moonlight cannot shine, there are people guarding it. Kabuto, when will the Sound Ninja's actions begin? Migi asked. Maki, who covers one eye with a white cloth, is the special Chunin of Sunagakur village and Gaara's mentor. Kabuto, on the other hand, represents the Sound Ninja and is here to conspire. You can take action on the day of the second round of exams. Kabuto hadn't recovered from Zanu's heavy blow at this moment. Therefore, he looked a little tired. Let's discuss the specific details. Maki said calmly. At this moment, a figure appeared behind them. I heard everything. Moonlight Gale coughed twice. So that's it, your plot is really courageous. But this is Konoha, and I won't let you do whatever you want. There were no teammates behind Moonlight Gale. It was only by chance that he noticed the conversation in the shadows while on patrol. However, out of the pride of a descendant from a famous family, Hayate did not escape, but chose to face the 2 enemies head-on. A ninja of Konoha, alone. When discovered, Maji was stunned. But he immediately calmed down. because he noticed that Moonlight Gale was alone. Just kill him. Kabuto sneered and pushed up his glasses. Moonlight's swift wind pulled out the sword from behind, the cold air and moonlight reflected each other. Konoha style. Mikazuki slash. No need to form a seal. Moonlight Gale instantly split into three, each holding a knife to attack Maji. He has trained to the point where he can instantly create two shadow clones and severely damage his opponent at extremely fast speeds. However, Moonlight Hayate miscalculated after all. Maji covered his body with sand and soil and was not harmed at all. At this moment, Moonlight Gale suddenly coughed violently. You had a chance to escape. But, your arrogance has made Konoha to be buried with you. Wind escape. Wind blade. Several powerful wind blades were instantly released from Maji's hand, directly attacking the vital points of the blast. But at this moment, something strange happened. The man in the moonlight and the wind disappeared without a trace in that moment. Who is it? Maji turned around and saw a white-haired figure holding Moonlight Gale at his waist. Yugong Gale was confused and looked at Zanu, who was holding him between himself. Zanu, why are you here? At that moment, Zanu used the Flying Thunder God's technique to save Yugong Gale. Neither Kabuto nor Maji saw Zanu's movements clearly. As another one here to die. Maji sneered, and the wind escape in his hand started to work again. But when Kabuto saw Zanu's face, he became obviously unnatural. After returning, Orochimaru had informed him of Zanu's true identity. However, Maji didn't know how strong Zanu really was. Most of the consequences of provoking me are disastrous. Zanu smiled lightly. Unless it's someone I'm interested in, I usually won't be lenient. Marky scoffed. Don't think that just because you beat Kabuto in the Chunin exam, you can get carried away. Kabuto, that fox is just hiding his strength. Kabuto had a look of helplessness on his face, and Maji, with his stupid head, actually thought that he was hiding his strength. Although Kabuto had said beforehand that he would hide his strength. Couldn't you tell at that time that he was killed instantly? Marky, if I were you, I wouldn't continue to irritate this freak. Kabuto Yakushi smiled reluctantly and took a nervous step back. Zanu nodded and said with a smile, it seems that some people have learned to be smart. Marky spat impatiently, and once again released the powerful wind blade from the palm of his hand. This is almost the most destructive ninjutsu among the wind release ninjutsu. And Maji, who can condense 6 wind blades at one time, is also the leader among Chunin. This is also the reason why Moonlight Gale died accidentally at his hands in the original work. Die. You too. Like Maji, Moonlight Gale only treats Zanu as a student. Therefore, he waved his sword in front of Zanu. This move directly shocked Zanu. Secret sword. Rondo. This is a variation of the Moonlight Gale sword technique. It can slash like a moon wheel, covering a huge area. It is a ranged sword move used to defend against the wind blade. I saw a pale moon disk passing by, and most of Maji's wind blade was offset. However, there were still 2 wind blades that managed to penetrate the sword defense. The biting wind blade penetrated directly into Moonlight Gale's shoulders, injuring him to the bone. Do you want to die? Zanu scolded coldly. In his tone, he seemed to be laughing at Moonlight Gale's stupidity. Yugong Gale's eyes couldn't help but change when he heard Zanu's words. Gritting his teeth and enduring the pain, he thought to himself, anyway, I saved you, and you blame me in turn. Is there something wrong with Zanu's brain? Go quickly and tell the people in Konoha about the conspiracy of Sound Ninja and Suna Ninja. Afterwards, Konoha will definitely treat Iwagakure as a benefactor and leave, don't worry about me. Moonlight Hayate's shoulders were crippled and he couldn't even move his 2 arms freely. The hand holding the sword finally gave out and he threw the katana to the ground. Blood dripped down, staining the sharpened katana. Zanu took a look at the condition of the knife. After only resisting the wind blade once, it was already full of holes and almost ready to break. Even if Moonlight Gale's arm was intact, he probably wouldn't be able to use such a broken knife. Marky laughed wildly when he saw this scene. Ha ha ha, although I'm surprised that you can actually take on ninjutsu with swordsmanship. But the sword is destroyed and the hand is useless. What else can you use to resist next time? Moonlight Hayate gritted her teeth, turned around and said, why aren't you leaving yet? Is it true that Iwagakure village is going to stand by and watch? Maji sneered and said, maybe Iwagakure village also wants to join in and eat your Konoha big fish. Zanu sighed helplessly. Shut up, you two idiots who don't understand the situation. As soon as these words came out, Moonlight Gale and Maji were both stunned. After saying that, Zanu slowly picked up Yu Guangfeng's broken sword from the pool of blood. Turning his head and squinting slightly at Yu Guangfeng, there was an indescribable coldness in his eyes. Moonlight Gale, let me make a statement first. I hate being protected the most in my life. If you violate this taboo, we will settle the score later. Zanu's words left Yu Guangale completely confused. Although I understand the meaning of each word, I don't understand the connection. I saved you, do you still want to settle a score with me? Is this self-esteem or arrogance? But looking at Zanu's expression, his words didn't seem like a joke at all. So Yu Guangfeng didn't dare to speak. Maji couldn't help but sneer when he saw Zanu picking up the broken knife of Gale. Why did you pick up that broken knife? Will a genius's brain be damaged by fear? When Kabuto saw this scene, he trembled secretly in his heart. He is finally going to take action, I have to escape quickly. Zanu passed her thumb across the bloody blade and smiled contemptuously. Why, isn't this easy to understand? Because to kill a waste like you, this broken knife is enough. Zanu raised the knife, letting the blade coincide with the faint moonlight. There were dozens of cuts, large and small, on the blade. Not to mention killing people, even the skin of a rabbit would be difficult to cut through. Although Maji is arrogant, he also has concerns in his heart. When Zanu killed Kabuto instantly, it was obvious that he was a very fast ninja. Even Marky himself was not confident in blocking such a fast attack, but he was not afraid. Because as long as you use the hardening technique of sand, you can defend against any physical attack. Wind blade. 2 whoosh. 6 wind blades were sent out one after another, directly attacking Zanu's vital points. But Maji didn't expect to use the wind blade to kill Zanu, who was very fast. He wanted to lure Zanu to attack him and use the hardening technique to offset the damage. At that moment, he used the wind blade from zero distance to kill Zanu. Maji looked at the wind blade floating toward his opponent with a ferocious smile, and said secretly, I know you will avoid it. But Zanu just raised the knife in her hand and held it across her chest. I only saw 2 swish. The bright silver sword light flashed twice in the night sky. It was like a white firework igniting in the darkness. Maji's 6 wind blades dissipated in the air like grains of sand under Zanu's sword. Blocked, Moonlight Gale suddenly said. Marky's brows knitted together, not daring to confirm the facts of what was happening in front of him. The full force of Moonlight Gale just now could only block 4 wind blades. Now with a broken knife, Zanu actually blocked it all. Monster, magic, blindfold. Zanu slowly sliced the blade through the air, and the cracks on the blade were not affected at all. It is a knife that will break if it withstands just a little more blows. In Zanu's hands, it was like magic, making quick decisions. How did you do it? Maji asked unwillingly. You must have used other ninjutsu. My wind blade is invincible. Invincible. Zanu shook her head holding back a smile. Even I don't dare to say 2 words casually, just throw them out like this. Are you too arrogant? Maki's veins popped out as he used all his chakra this time. Both hands rolled up strong wind pressure at the same time. It seemed that he was going to use all his strength. Let you see my real wind blade. He made a cross in the air with both hands, and the dense wind blades shot at Zanu like a machine gun. Maji, who uses all his chakra, can create a total of 32 wind blades. Facing this aggressive wind blade, it was enough to kill a person 32 times. Zanu couldn't help but yawn. Supporting characters are supporting characters, and their moves are inevitably the same. You've wasted too much of my time. A series of metallic sounds were heard. Zanu's body remained motionless, one arm waving like an afterimage. 32 wind blades were resolved one by one with extremely precise means. Zanu's movements were elegant and steady, as if she was just doing something natural. But Marky's breath caught. This is enough to knock down a city wall and penetrate a building with a wind blade attack. He was thrown away like a rag by a genin with a knife that was extremely broken. Zanu smiled playfully, her eyes seeming to see through Maji's thoughts. You really want me to come up and chop you, don't you? thinking that there might be a chance to kill me. But unfortunately, your attack is not enough for me to dodge, I just need to resist it. However, I still give you a chance. He picked up the broken knife and pointed it at Ma-ji. Ma-ji was awe-inspiring and took a step back, with a look of fear on his face. Zanu continued, I'll chop you. If you don't die, my life will be yours. After saying that, Zanu showed a sinister smile, which made Ma-ji swallow his saliva. However, a crazy idea sprouted in his heart. Just take the next cut, and one cut is enough. If you don't die, you can kill the opponent. Not only can you kill this monster, but you can also become the hero of Sunagakur village. He even surpassed Gaara's military exploits and became a candidate for the new generation of Kazekage. All these thoughts lingered in Marky's heart. Aren't you going to run away? Kabuto said harshly, anyway, if I leave, you will definitely regret it. Plop. Kabuto seemed to have used some kind of reverse psychic technique and disappeared into the air. Marky said like a man possessed, I'll take a stab at you. Moonlight Blast waited with bated breath, almost forgetting the pain in his shoulders. In just a few minutes, Zanu's swordsmanship had fascinated him. He has been practicing swordsmanship since he was a child, following his father, who was known as a swordsman. But ask yourself, you are just a tool to inherit the Konoha style. He had never really been interested in swordsmanship. Therefore, he did not get his approval until his death. I once thought that Konoha-style swordsmanship was the real swordsmanship, and Konoha was the limit of the world of swordsmanship. But after seeing Zanu's swordsmanship, he was shocked. It turns out that swordsmanship can be so gorgeous, so elegant, and at the same time full of killing intent and awe. Use an unseemly broken knife to defeat the powerful enemy in your eyes. From unbelievable to mesmerizing. When he came back to his senses, Moonlight Gale realized that I've become addicted to swordsmanship and can't help myself. The cold wind howled. The ridge of the roof, where the moonlight cannot shine. The two men shrouded in haze stood opposite each other. The shadow of the knife was swallowed up by the darkness, leaving only the incomplete fracture exposed. I didn't expect you to accept the challenge. I don't know if you are obsessed with something, or if you have a passion in your heart. You can't even notice that my murderous intention has abused your will thousands of times. Zanu smiled, moved the knife in her hand, and a cold light reflected on Ma-ji's face. That face was filled with obsession and desire. Okay, I'll give you a samurai death. Almost without warning, Zanu's knife moved. The broken knife turned into an afterimage and slashed forward, and the talent followed the knife. The person moved with the knife, and the knife seemed to have its own consciousness at that moment. And Zanu is just like a puppet holding a knife, just to integrate the mystery of the knife into the material world. The space is like water, spreading out a circle of ripples in vain. Zanu had quietly passed through Ma-ji's body and put the knife back into the invisible sheath. Marky was covered in sand and dust. He used all his strength to turn the sand into a body to resist the slashing attack. At this moment, he looked like a man made of sand. Solid, airtight, without any flaws. The Sandman spoke. I won, I survived. Your life is mine. After saying that, Ma-ji turned around and reached out to Zanu. But Zanu didn't dodge at all, just a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Before Ma-ji could touch Zanu's clothes, a cracking sound suddenly reached everyone's ears. A very obvious cracking sound. Terrible and gut-wrenching. On Ma-ji's chest, an extremely long and terrifying knife edge appeared in vain. Like a bloody ravine, the skin and flesh were blurred, revealing the dense white bones. The sand and earth armor was essentially useless. Why did I die? Marky spit out a few mouthfuls of blood mixed with blood clots, rolled his eyes, and fell forward. The stab wound had completely cut off his heart. Until he fell down, he couldn't touch Zanu at all. Likewise, I don't know when the knife was struck, and the death is unclear. But Zanu kept her promise. It's a knife, it's a knife. At this time, there was another secret breaking sound. The broken sword in Zanu's hand, which originally belonged to Moonlight Hayate, finally shattered into a pile of tiny blade fragments. It was as if it had been crushed and shattered in Zanu's hands. Like silver petals falling, Zanu held the bare sword hilt back and threw it to the ground. Moonlight Gale was already stunned. Although it is a broken knife, But how to use it to make the blade break into pieces like that? What Yu Guangfeng saw was Zanu using her sword skills to squeeze the power of a broken sword to its limit. An ordinary iron samurai sword, even if the blade has been condensed for thousands of reincarnations. How could he be so lucky to have such a special opportunity? If this katana were a person, he would be shattered to pieces at this moment, but he would have no regrets. Your swordsmanship is really too strong. Yu Gale struggled to get up excitedly and crawled desperately to Zan Yu's side. There are endless feelings in my chest, and I want to pour them out. What is a sword, and what is the ultimate in kendo? These philosophical thoughts that have troubled him for many years will definitely be answered from the mouth of this swordsman. No, it should be said that it is the sword master. Maybe, I will really fall in love with kendo. My swordsmanship will also enter a new level. Lord Zan Yu, please. Moonlight Swift steps forward quickly, showing an excited smile. But there was only a bang sound, and Moonlight Gale spurted out a stream of nosebleeds and fell to the ground on his back. Zan Yu shrugged her eyelids and looked at Yu Guangfeng with disgust. Why did you hit me? Moonlight Gale's nose seemed to have been hit by a jack, and blood kept flowing out. His expression was innocent and full of confusion. Zan Yu clapped her fingers and said with a ferocious smile, I said I wanted to settle a score with you, don't you remember? Moonlight Hayate was stunned. It turned out that he was angry with himself for protecting him. Thinking about it now, it is indeed too ridiculous. Moonlight Gale quickly leaned down and said respectfully, Haifeng just didn't know that Sir Zan Yu was so good with the sword. Taking action privately is really overestimating your capabilities. It offends your dignity and is a crime worthy of death. Please forgive me. If Yu Gale knew Zan Yu had such great strength, he would never do anything stupid like standing in front of Zan Yu. Just like when Moonlight Hayate was in danger, a child of several years old stood in front of him. Anyone would be unhappy and have an inexplicable anger. What's more, a sword master level figure like Zan Yu. He must be mad. Zan Yu looked at Yu Guangfeng, still feeling unhappy. I originally wanted to save him tonight. But he didn't expect that Moonlight Gale actually saved him and was seriously injured. I really don't know how to vent this anger. That's why he made the move of killing Ma Ji with a broken sword, which made him feel a little better. Otherwise, Zan Yu, a miscellaneous fish like Ma Ji, can just throw an ninjutsu and solve the problem. Forget it, I have no intention of dealing with you. Come with me. Zan Yu snorted coldly, mentioned the Moonlight Gale, and used the Flying Thunder God technique. Yu Guangfeng only felt that his consciousness was spinning, and then he came to another unfamiliar room. It seems to be surrounded by closed stone walls, but the interior decoration is very luxurious and the furniture is all available. It was much more luxurious than his own room. Master Zan Yu, we have to return to Konoha quickly and inform Suna Ninja and Sound Ninja of their plot. Moonlight Hayate said. You can't go back, you have to stay here until everything is over. Zan Yu said coldly. Moonlight Gale had a lump in his throat and was a little surprised. Excuse me, why? You don't have to ask so many questions. Zan Yu stretched out her palms, and a faint green light lingered in her hands. This is the art of ninja, the art of extracting minor troubles. The medical ninjutsu he had just learned from Kabuto was working. Moonlight Hayate's shoulders healed quickly under Zan Yu's super shadow level medical ninjutsu. Seeing that Zan Yu actually possesses such superb medical skills, Moonlight Blast is simply confusing. Thanks for the rescue, it really caused trouble. If she didn't overestimate her own capabilities, why would Zan Yu bother to treat herself? Thinking of this, Moonlight Gale felt regretful. But, with all due respect, if the village is not informed, many people may die. Although I don't know your plan, I think it is necessary to at least let the Hokage know so that he can be prepared. Moonlight Hayate is still loyal to the village. Although he admires Zan Yu, he still has reason. In response, Zan Yu also smiled happily. It's normal for you to think so. Zan Yu said, it's just that simply letting the village know is just a way of alerting others. Moonlight Hayate was confused. Excuse me, what does it mean to alert the enemy? Zan Yu sneered and turned away. What if there is an enemy undercover among Konoha's top brass? What if there are enemy spies everywhere in the village? Our battle just now has been exposed, and Kabuto has escaped. If you inform the village now, it will only mean that every step of our side is under the enemy's calculations. Moonlight Hayate was stunned. He really didn't think about it that much. He had not even doubted the possibility that there was an undercover foreign enemy in the village. So that's it. What I thought was still too superficial. Moonlight's swift wind whispered. Zanu's real purpose is to catch Orochimaru and settle accounts with him. But if Orochimaru is alerted and makes him want to retreat, it may be difficult for him to catch him again. Orochimaru's frontal combat strength cannot even be ranked among the top 20 among Hokage. But his various methods are unique in the ninja world. Able to be infinitely resurrected in the cursed seal, able to be reincarnated into other people's bodies, and able to become invisible anytime and anywhere. After defecting from the Akatsuki organization, even the people from the Akatsuki organization were unable to capture Orochimaru. All in all, if Orochimaru wanted to slip away from him, it couldn't be easier. If you are wary of yourself, you will not show up easily in the future. Therefore, he wanted Orochimaru to feel that this operation could be successful. Only then do we have a chance to truly catch this troublesome existence. Anyway, just stay here and don't go anywhere. I have disguised a clay doll as your corpse. You are dead now, Zanu said lightly. Just before leaving, Zanu put down the earthen puppet and disguised it as Moonlight Gale's corpse. Furthermore, he used divine power to transfer Maji's body and destroy it. But Yakushi Kabuto did not see the battle process. After seeing Moonlight Hayate's body, he would definitely have doubts. Moonlight Gale was shocked when he heard this. My girlfriend saw this and didn't know how desperate she would be. Girlfriend, Zanu remembered that it was the good-looking Mao Yuxian. I have no time to care about the personal relationship between my children. Zanu sneered, just stay here until the exam is over. Having said this, Moonlight Gale had no choice but to feel relieved. He asked, where is this place? I'm afraid there is no such place in Konoha. Zanu smiled faintly. This is the country of Yu, the base of the Moon Organization. Moonlight Hayate was stunned. The country of soup. Wouldn't it be across the sea, which is hundreds of kilometers? Arriving in an instant. Wait a minute, Yu Organization. Are you the Thousand Shadow Phantom Demon? Yu Gong Gale was shocked. Zanu smiled and nodded. Yes, I am the notorious phantom in the ninja world. What Phantom Demon did was much more impactful than the Akatsuki organization. Not only did he kill the members of the Akatsuki organization, but also the strong men of the 7 ninja swordsmen. He also attacked Iwagakure village and slaughtered the daimyo in one fell swoop. Now Moonlight Hayate knew how Zanu's identity in Yenian village came about. It's you. I didn't expect it to be such a young person. Moonlight Gale said sadly. He has lived for nearly 30 years, and his strength is not even comparable to that of others. Thinking of this, Zanu's godlike swordsmanship just now came to mind again. Senior Xuanyu, please tell me, what exactly is a sword? What is swordsmanship? I have been practicing swordsmanship for 20 years. I have practiced hard since I was a child, but I have never been able to reach the state of communication with the sword. Perhaps I'm not passionate enough or attentive enough to see your swordsmanship just now. I really want to know your opinions on these two issues. Moonlight Hayate looked serious. It seems that this is a very important issue to him. There is a kind of momentum that if you hear the truth in the morning, you will die in the evening. Zanu smiled softly. Swordsmanship is just one of his many clone abilities. There are so many abilities, shouldn't you think about philosophy every time you accept one? I really haven't thought about this issue carefully. What is a sword? What is swordsmanship? Zanu thought for a while. Without hesitation, he poured out the first thought that came to his mind. The sword is a murder weapon. Swordsmanship is the art of killing. That's all. No muddy thoughts. There are no pretentious words. But Moonlight Gale was completely dumbfounded. He originally thought that Zanu would say something mysterious. But I didn't expect it to be cold pragmatism. The weapon and the method of killing. Moonlight Swift Wind murmured to himself. It's so simple, but it has a sense of freedom and ease. A great principle of reducing complexity to simplicity lingered hazily in Yu Guangfang's mind. For a moment, I seemed to have some realization. Don't you have a passion for kendo in your heart, senior? If you don't have love, how can you use such gorgeous and unrestrained sword moves? Moonlight Gale still refused to give up and wanted to get more answers from Zanu. Love, Zanu sneered. He looked at Yu Guangfang's innocent and stubborn eyes. This is the look a young man should have, but this naivety will eventually kill him. You can kill with a sword, you can kill without a sword. You can kill with swordsmanship, and you can kill without swordsmanship. It is not the sword or swordsmanship that commits murder, but the human subject. No matter how beautiful the language is to cover it up, the thing in the hands of the murderer is the murder weapon, the technique used by the murderer is the method of killing. After saying these words, Zanu began to activate the Flying Thunder God's formation, intending to return to Konoha. Moonlight Gale, on the other hand, was carefully recalling what Zanu had just said. Before leaving, Zanu sneered. For me, swords have never been something worthy of love, they are just tools. But Moonlight Hayate, if you're interested, go check out the next room. If you can survive until the next time I come back, I will give you a surprise. After Zanu left, Yu Gale, curious, stood up and walked out of the room. What lingered in his mind were Zanu's last words. If you can survive until the next time I come back. What exactly is this dangerous thing? Moonlight Hayate swallowed her saliva and mustered up the courage to walk towards the next room. The moment he opened the door, an awe-inspiring murderous aura rushed towards him. Countless sword lights suddenly struck from all around, surrounding the moonlight blast. I saw dozens of Zanu faces appearing in the large room. The overall layout of the room is like a training room, with various weapons piled everywhere. Zanu's clones, each holding a long sword, surrounded the moonlight blast. Zanu, are these your clones? Facing many Zanu holding sharp swords, Yu Gale couldn't help but feel a little timid. However, Zanu spoke. This is indeed my clone, but you don't need to be too afraid. Those here are all my swordsman clones. In other words, they only inherited my sword-related abilities. Zanu has already arranged this training room. The purpose is to test whether Moonlight Gale is qualified to become his assistant. But, what do I do? Moonlight Gale frowned. After seeing Zanu's sword skills, he no longer dared to face Zanu's sword again. Not to mention, knocking down so many clones is training. Even if it is a clone, it is impossible to be defeated by a half-hearted person like himself. But Zanu's words gave Yu Gale a little confidence. Moonlight Gale, the 100 swordsmanship clones here, under my deliberate control, only have 30% of the strength of the original body. As long as you can defeat 100 clones, you will definitely have greater breakthroughs in swordsmanship and your strength will be stronger. This is an opportunity to prove that you are not an ordinary fish. Do you want to accept it, or give up? Moonlight Hayate's expression was moved. A chance to prove that you are not a loser. If you miss it, you may live in the shadow of Zanu's swordsmanship for the rest of your life. Even if he managed to survive from Sunagakur this time, it would still be the same as death. Zanu, I accept training. Moonlight Hayate gritted his teeth, picked up 2 samurai swords, and responded to the enemy with his 2 swords. Zanu raised her eyebrows. Unexpectedly, Moonlight Gale actually has a hidden one-trick 2-sword style. It looks like it will be fun. After saying that, a clone came up with a sword. The master-level swordsmanship clone has mastered almost all the swordsmanship in Naruto. Although his strength has been weakened, the mystery of his sword moves has not diminished. As a result, Moonlight Gale was forced to retreat steadily. Secret sword technique. 3 rises and moon slash. Moonlight Hayate directly used his special skill, Mikazuki Slash. I saw the moonlight blast splitting into 3 parts in an instant and attacking Zanu's vital points. Too naive. Zanu just moved her sword horizontally and blocked 3 fatal sword moves. What? Moonlight Hayate was completely desperate. His Mikazuki Slash was useless against Maji because Maji was hardened, resulting in his lack of attack power. But Zanu is different. Zanu used her own swordsmanship to defeat the 3-day moon slash. You can actually see through my family's Konoha-style swordsmanship in an instant. I can't possibly defeat you. Moonlight Hayate said dejectedly. Haha, so you were really stupid. Zanu sneered, do you blame your incompetence on swordsmanship? Moonlight Hayate was stunned. Zanu continued. You didn't even think about the timing of using the sword, and you just attacked arbitrarily. With the way you use it, even if you use the unrivaled swordsmanship, there will be no change. These words made Yu Guangfeng wake up. Really understand the relationship between swordsmanship and murderers. Treat swords and swordsmanship as cold-blooded tools. Moonlight Gale murmured, igniting fighting spirit again. Zanu smiled and said, "That's a nice look. He finally has the spirit of a murderer. Then, let's go to the next round." In this secret room, Zanu's 100 clones were engaged in a fierce battle with Moonlight Blast. First, it was Moonlight Gale, dueling with a clone of Zanu. Then increase it to 2 people, then 4 people. As the number of opponents continued to increase, the wounds on his body also increased. In the hellish and cruel special training, I look forward to the moment when I defeat all the clones. The next day, the exam venue. The atmosphere today is very solemn. Perhaps because of the news of Moonlight Hayate's death, the security at the venue was doubled. There are more and more Chunin patrolling, and among them there are countless Anbu hiding in the dark. Zanu can feel that Konoha still takes this matter very seriously. That clay doll could only maintain the appearance of Moonlight Hayate's corpse for 2 or 3 days. However, it is more than enough. At least so far, except that Marky's whereabouts are unknown, the progress is exactly the same as before. Zanu looked at the high platform where the Hokage was sitting. Orochimaru was still sitting there disguised as the cage. This means that Orochimaru is quite confident to continue with the plan. "That's good," Zanu said lightly. "I heard someone died yesterday," team members from Shikamaru and Naruto whispered behind them. Shikamaru only found out the news after his father revealed a little bit. Although the spread of news has been blocked, there are still many rumors spreading. As a result, the number of viewers who came to watch the selection today was much smaller. In the stands, Zanu noticed a group of Chunin walking in from outside the stadium. A few scattered security Chunin gathered over and then followed the team of Chunin outside the venue. Zanu noticed from a distance that the leader of that team of Chunin was Moonlight Hayate's lover, Azuki Yuyan. Her eyes were red, but she was full of energy at the moment. "I'm afraid I've cried enough last night." His current aura clearly shows that he wants to catch the murderer and avenge his lover. I wonder how she will feel when she finds out that Moonlight Gale is still alive. After probably intensive preparation for a while, the exam finally started. The examiner was replaced by Genma Shiranui, who held 1,000 books in his mouth. A special Chunin of Konoha, a member of the escort team of all generations of Hokage, and once the 4th generation's right-hand man. Shiranui Genma was full of energy, showing a proud look everywhere. Compared to the sickly Moonlight Gale, it is indeed very intimidating. "I will be the examiner today." Shiranui Genma sneered, "Whoever you are, do you dare to try to go beyond the examination rules? I am not as easy to talk to as Hayate." It can be seen that Shiranui Genma also has a lot of resentment towards these outside ninjas. Moonlight Hayate's death, you can tell with your buttocks, was caused by a ninja from outside the village. Shiranui Genma was just venting his anger. The first exam begins. It turned out to be Zanu versus Uchiha Sasuke. Something that surprised Zanu happened. His participation still affected the draw, making it impossible for Uchiha Sasuke to fight Gaara. When Zanu was looking for Sasuke, she found nothing. "Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei, haven't they come yet?" Naruto looked around. Zanu suddenly remembered. During the final selection for the Chunin exams, Uchiha Sasuke and Kakashi were both late. It seems that too much time is wasted just for cultivation. We had to let the subsequent games start first. Zanu breathed a sigh of relief. It would be ridiculous to fight Uchiha Sasuke, it would be boring and one-sided. His target this time, besides Orochimaru, is Gaara, who has the power of Shukaku. A Chunin ran towards Shiranui Genma and whispered something in his ear. Shiranui Genma nodded and said, "Because Uchiha Sasuke is late, the competition between him and Zanu needs to be postponed. The rest of the game will start first." There was a burst of resentful complaints from the audience. The second exam, Naruto vs. Neji. Although with the power of Naruto's 9 tails, Neji would have been unable to win. In particular, Neji's sealing of Naruto's chakra acupoints inspired the power of the 9 tails to emerge. And not only that, Zanu also taught Naruto how to make balls. In this way, even if Neji uses Kaden, he cannot stop the power of Naruto's Rasengan. So in this competition, unexpectedly, Naruto won with overwhelming strength. In the stands, the third Hokage took a deep breath. Naruto, how did he learn the Rasengan? Did Jiraiya teach him? It's amazing. His progress is beyond my imagination. The third generation even secretly wondered whether he should focus on training Naruto as a Jinchuriki. Later, Shikamaru failed against Temari, but gained the appreciation of the Hokage. Kankuro and Aburame Shino ended up with Kankuro abstaining. After that, the battle between Sakura and Toss began. Toss did not challenge Gaara privately this time and escaped the fate of death. However, Toss did not take Sakura seriously. The illusion that day was nothing more than a fluke to him. His arm has dual physical and sonic attacks, so there is no reason to lose. Haruno Sakura vs Toss, the game begins. Shiranui Genma gave an order, and the two began to attack. You can't beat me. I saw Toss directly lifting the metal arm and releasing the sound waves. Haruno Sakura was immediately affected, and an uncomfortable feeling erupted from her body. This is because infrasound waves slightly affect the internal organ disorder. However, she immediately used illusions to confront the enemy. Sakura, who is good at manipulating the five senses, exerts the influence of hearing to the maximum. Toss was stunned for a moment. There seemed to be endless loud noises in his mind, making it almost impossible for him to stay awake. Because Toss's hearing is already several times more sensitive than ordinary people. The keen auditory nerve makes it easier for Sakura to cast illusions. Secret technique. The magic sound penetrates my ears. After Sakura grasped Toss's weakness and used the influence of hearing, Toss surrendered directly. Because he couldn't stand this terrible noise at all. That's enough, Haruno Sakura wins. Shiranui Genma said calmly, ending the game. Then he gave Sakura a confirming look. Because this is Konoha's performance of beating up Sound Ninja and bringing glory to Konoha. Sakura actually won again, so awesome. At this time, Ino Yamanaka woke up and began to look at Sakura with admiration. This game proved that Sakura's strength was genuine and not just luck. Even Zanu was a little surprised. I wondered if I had taught Sakura too well. After returning to the stands, Xiaoying walked to Zanu with a smile again and asked for a reward. The so-called rewards are naturally some of Zanu's intimate actions. Just touching her head can make Sakura feel satisfied. After all, this kind of love is much better than when he was unrequitedly in love with Sasuke before. Are you Haruno Sakura? Yuhi Kurenai slowly walked over and greeted Haruno Sakura. After showing off a more advanced illusion ability this time, Yuhi Kurenai didn't want to let go of Haruno Sakura, a good young talent. While Kakashi was away, she had to come and get in touch with Haruno Sakura quickly. Otherwise, if he talks about accepting her as his disciple again, Kakashi will stop him. Teacher Hong. Sakura's cheeks turned red and she quickly got out of Zanu's arms and bowed to Yuhi Kurenai. Let me put it bluntly, your illusion skills are really brilliant, and I am impressed. But the details still need to be fleshed out. If you can accept my guidance, I will make you stronger. Sakura was stunned for a moment, not knowing how to respond to the sudden invitation. Of course she was just flattered and quickly regained her composure. She bowed and smiled. Thank you, Teacher Hong, for your appreciation, but I still want to practice with the person I like. After saying that, Sakura blushed and glanced at Zanu quietly. All this is seen in Yuhi Hong's eyes. Of course she wasn't blind, and she could see what the relationship between Sakura and Zanu was. However, it would be too embarrassing for her to refuse the invitation of an illusion master because she was a genin from the Iwa ninja village. Even though Zanu is a genius, she is still embarrassed by the honor of being a teacher. Sakura, are you sure you want to give up my invitation? I'm really interested. I want to accept you as my disciple and teach you all the illusion skills. It's not that I have any prejudice against Zanu. I just don't want to see you wasting your illusion skills in vain. After saying that, she glanced at Zanu with some disdain. That day, Kakashi just said that Zanu was a person who was not easy to mess with. Although Hong knows what Zanu has done in the ninja world. However, she is confident that Zanu is not as good as herself at the level of illusion. A waste of talent, Zanu sneered. Before I came, did any of you teach her any illusion skills? As soon as these words came out, Yuhi Hong couldn't help but be speechless. Zanu continued. When others were not famous, they ignored them. Now that they have achieved some success, they rush to catch up. Don't you think it's ridiculous? It can be said that these words do not give Yuhi Hong any face. However, Yuhi Hong couldn't refute it at all. In the past, she did know that Sakura had a talent for illusion, but she never thought of teaching it. One was that it was inappropriate to cross Kakashi, but the other was out of selfishness. She didn't ask me. What good would it do to me to take the initiative to teach her? This is the mentality of Hong and other teachers. No one cared about Sakura until Sakura met Tsunade later. What you said is too unpleasant. Yuhi Hong said coldly. Even if I made mistakes in the past, it is not too late to accept her as a disciple now. Sakura will only be more successful in the future if she follows me, a master of illusion. After hearing this, Zanu couldn't help but laugh. Are you a master of illusion? Stop laughing so hard. Did you make a mistake? Zanu sneered. Seeing Zanu being so disrespectful, Yuhi Hong immediately became angry. Do you think I'm going to talk nonsense again? Don't think that you can compare with me in illusion skills. I saw Yuhi Hong's eyes move, and she actually used illusions on Zanu. What she used was Yuhi Hong's famous stunt, the tree binding technique. It can create the illusion of a magic tree, causing the victim's body to be firmly imprisoned. However, how could Zanu be defeated by this illusion? If Kurenai Yuhi knew that Zanu had cracked Uchiha Itachi's illusion, I wonder what she would think. You are a little too confident in yourself. Do you know what the consequences will be if you use Genjutsu on the Sharingan? Zanu smiled lightly, and the aura of disaster that had not been released for a long time spread from her eyes. Yuhi Hong's illusion was instantly shattered, and in the same form, it came back to him. Yuhi Hong herself was controlled by the tree binding technique and had no room to fight back. As he struggled, a feeling of panic slowly crept into his heart. Facing Zanu, she, a Chunin who claimed to be a master of illusion, was so powerless. Just like a child, Yuhi Hong gritted her teeth, but still did not intend to bow her head to Zanu. Zanu smiled flatly. Naturally, he would not care about anything with Yuhi Hong, let alone use any killing moves. He just gave her a small lesson and the illusion was lifted. After returning to reality, Yuhi Hong finally regained consciousness. Teacher Hong, are you feeling unwell? Sakura asked doubtfully. I saw Yuhi Hong not talking for a long time just now, her eyes were blank. It's like being under an illusion. But Sakura is not sure, how could a Genjutsu ninja as powerful as Yuhi Kurenai fall under a Genjutsu? In fact, her unwillingness to accept the invitation was not because of Hong's lack of strength. It's just because I want to be with Zanu more. I'm a little dizzy, let's go first. Yuhi Hong covered her eyes with a tired look on her face. After enduring Zanu's illusion, it was good to be able to stay awake. She never dared to mention accepting Xiao Ying as her disciple. The fight just now has fully demonstrated a fact. Zanu's strength is not at the same level as hers. I am not qualified to interfere in other people's education. Because she knows very well that the Sakura taught by Zanu will be even better than herself. Zanu also breathed a sigh of relief after solving this trouble. Sometimes, trouble will come to you without asking for it. Next is the penultimate showdown. Shiranui Genma looked at the time, but Sasuke still wasn't there. After this game, I'm afraid we will have to play Uchiha Sasuke's game. Now, one can only hope that this game lasts longer. Chino of Blood vs. Gaara of Sand Falls. Invite the two contestants to come to the stage and prepare. Chiano always competes with a playful attitude. This time, it's no exception. So she took a relaxed step and prepared to go on stage. Chiano. Zanu patted Chiano's shoulder and said solemnly, "Be careful, he is not an ordinary opponent, don't show off." Chiano turned around and smiled. "I won't embarrass you, brother Zanu." This smile was so gentle, but it only lasted for a second before Chiano's face became extremely serious. It even exuded a ray of murderous aura. Chiano has been struggling alone in the ninja world for a year or two. It is impossible to say that she is an innocent and ignorant little girl. It's just that by Zanu's side, she can play that innocent little girl. But if she left Zanu, she would be a ruthless genius of the Blood Pond clan. As for Gaara, when he saw that Chino was a child, his expression didn't change at all. The sand around him floats slowly, defending himself against attacks coming from all directions. The two parties have reached the point where they have reached the point. After confirming victory, additional attacks are prohibited to cause secondary damage. You must keep this in mind, Shiranui Genma warned. Gaara's actions yesterday were very dangerous and arrogant. Having already won, he even wanted to destroy an entire leg of Shaoli who was unable to move. Today, we must not allow this to happen again. Game start. Following Shiranui Genma's order, Chiano took action. Gaara never likes to attack first, because of his absolute defense, he likes to break other people's attacks. Chiano's pupils began to change, and the blood dragon eyes instantly activated. The dark whites of the eyes, coupled with 3 scarlet horizontal bars, formed a strange pupil shape. It can exert more powerful power than the ordinary Sharingan. Secret technique. Blood flying dragon. Chiano directly used the blood dragon eye to create countless bloody flying dragons surrounding Gaara. But Gaara looked calm, and with a pinch, countless sand spikes formed out of thin air. The spikes accurately hit all the blood dragons, making them incapacitated. I thought that Chiano's attack was over. But unexpectedly, after the blood-flying dragon was destroyed, a violent explosion occurred. All the blood I create can explode like this, Chiano said proudly. When the smoke dissipated, Gaara's sand armor was simply destroyed. His face was full of anger, and his expression became more and more crazy. In the last game, Rock Lee drove to 5 gates before almost breaking through his defense. But now, he was defeated by this little girl from Chiano with one move. Gaara's self-esteem was severely hit. How dare you do this? Gaara clasped his palms together and said angrily, I will make you pay the price. A tsunami-like sandstorm surged out of the gourd behind him. The overwhelming crowd was attacking Chiano. Gaara has never used such a large-scale attack since he stood in the ring until now. This means that he is really angry. But Chiano was not to be outdone. With a wave of his hand, a large area of blood surrounded him. Infinite blood also has the same power as sand. Suddenly, the two parties actually formed a rivalry. No one has a clear upper hand. The entire audience was shocked. I didn't expect this little girl to have the same strength as Gaara. Is there such a monster in Yenian village? The Sandai and Orochimaru in the stands were even more amazed. Unexpectedly, the pupil technique of the blood dragon eye is no less than the Sharingan. Sandai smiled, and, in terms of practicality, it is more powerful than the ordinary Sharingan. But Orochimaru just smiled lightly. When blood dragon eye uses blood spells, it needs to consume a certain proportion of its own blood. This little girl's physical strength will probably decrease faster and faster. But Gaara has inexhaustible physical strength. Orochimaru understood the situation with one glance. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.